Okay, guys, we are live! So for those listening at home, welcome to the Dungeon Musings YouTube channel. My name is Kevin Madison, and I'll be your friendly Marvel Marshal today, because today we are carrying on. We were going to be playing our continuing Pulp Cthulhu, or Acton Cthulhu meets Savage Supers campaign, but Darren is on vacation today, so Jeffrey has very kindly agreed to step in for a one-shot featuring the same character or similar character that John's been playing in our ongoing game, but this time turning to perhaps the most well-known dystopian future in the Marvel Universe for a one-shot that I'm calling, what did I call it? Sleeping with the Elephant? Let's see here. I think that's what I went with. Next to the Elephant is what this is a Canadiana heavy episode. So today we will be using the outstanding Savage Worlds Adventure Edition RPG with their very, very, very cool Superpowers Companion. This is the Savage Worlds Adventure Edition version of it that came out late last year to tell a dystopian tale set in the Great White North in the era of Days of Future Past. And with me are let's hear. Well, stars of today's session, at least. I'll go the order I've got you guys on the screen here. Why don't you tell us who you are and who you're playing today? First up, we've got Jeffrey.
Hey everybody, I'm Jeff, and I'm going to be playing Dr. Walter Langosky, and he is also known as the Sasquatch.
Nice, and with him is John.
Everyone, I am John, and I am playing Logan, Old Man Logan this time around, full-on metal claws and metal bones.
Actually, not Old Man Logan, because Old Man Logan is actually a different dystopian future.
Well, I've got the white streaks like
you
Reed
are
Richards.
playing Colonel Logan, a member of the Canadian Resistance Army. Yeah, it's they don't make it easy with the dystopian futures. I made that mistake too when I kept thinking that when I was doing image searches, and I'm like, no, that's not the one I want. It's the Days of Future Past. It's a classic Uncanny X-Men future. Old Man Logan is a Mark Millar creation from the 2000s in the Wolverine comic.
Gotcha.
So, guys, what do you guys know about? I mean, obviously you know about Logan, but as far as the future of Days of Future Past from the comics, what do you guys know about that?
Well, I know it's the Sentinels pretty much were hugely successful, and they hunted the mutants down and kind of made it a really, really bad place for mutants in general.
Yeah.
And that's where we get Cable and a few other futuristic kind of characters that come back.
Yeah, and those are so for contemporaneous stuff, Days of Future Past came out in I think it's 82 or 83. And Cable came a few years later, and then Bishop came a few years later after that, and the dark and actually before they came back is Rachel Summers, Phoenix. She's gone by different names in the comics since then, but I know her best as Phoenix as a member of Excalibur. She comes from the same future too. And but the Cable is actually from a different kind of arc from it. Same idea, but different timeline. And ditto for Bishop. But both of those were efforts at trying to capture lightning in the bottle once again, because of how, you know, like the thing that that brought this one to the present that was so different is it came shortly after Kitty Pryde had joined the X-Men. So she was still very, very young. She was very much written and drawn like a teenager in it. And then she has, while she's going through the danger room, has a panic moment, falls down. She wakes up, and she's acting and talking and behaving like an adult woman. And even, I think it's Wolverine even says she smells differently too. She, where she was, young Kitty was a little standoffish and scared of Nightcrawler. First thing she does when she wakes up is throw her arms around him and give him a big hug, because Kurt's been dead in her timeline. It was adult Kate who was sent back in time, but with technology and Rachel Summers' psychic powers to inhabit her younger body to try and prevent the assassination of one specific senator. Jeff, what do you know about Days of Future Past?
I have obviously seen the movies, like that they sort of told that story in a messy way, like they did with a lot of that X-Men stuff. But you know, they were fun movies to watch. And I do have a bunch of the comics, but those are old issues that I don't read. I leave them in the bag.
Yeah, what's neat? It's a neat thing to look back on, only because it was heavily also influenced by a specific arc of the Doctor Who series, where the Daleks take over planet Earth. There's a lot of things that you can see are visuals that are very similar between the two. And both Chris Claremont and John Byrne, who are the creators of Days of Future Past, were Anglophiles. John Byrne grew up in Canada, and Chris Claremont, I believe, has a British heritage. So the two of them had this connection to Doctor Who, and all that came together to tell this crazy dystopian dark future tale. The four corners of what you put down, John, are exactly what the future is. An anti-mutant bill gets proposed and then put down, or it was unsuccessful, but then it later follows with another successful anti-mutant bill that leads to a more intense Sentinel program that leads to the death of not only a bunch of mutants, but also superhumans. One of the things you see in the comic, which you had not seen in other comics before, is as Kate Pride, not young Kitty, but Kate, is making her way into the internment center, complete with her, uniform, marking her as a mutant with a big M on her back. She passes the gravestones of the Fantastic Four, of members of the X-Men, of Spider-Man. The Sentinels not only killed every a whole swath of mutants and taking control of them, or permanently disabling them. We see Magneto, who we've only known as a villain, in a wheelchair and allied with the X-Men in that one. It was a really, for the time, and since then, because they've gone back to the well so many times, it's easy to think it's or to not appreciate how mind-blowing that arc was. But I believe this was the final arc they worked on together before John Byrne went to work on Alpha Flight and the Hulk. No, Alpha Flight and Fantastic Four at the same time, I think. But in any event, it was really leaving on a high note. But one of the things that's always stuck with me that I thought was really fascinating is when he's introduced, Logan of this era is introduced as the Canadian Resistance Army. And for those who may be joining us for the first time on the channel, I'm Canadian, Jeff is Canadian. So it's always going to stuck with me of like, oh, that's neat. Like, what's going on in Canada at the time? And the more I thought about that, the more there is at the time that the comic came out, one of our prime ministers, which is our equivalent of a president, described the relationship of Canada to the U.S. as sleeping next to an elephant. And that's the idea I had in mind for today's session. So, guys, that's my very long intro for this. Our scene opens. Let me grab you guys here with the sound of a propeller plane. And you guys can see sitting on this plane, there are two individuals, one dark hair, one light hair. There does not appear to be anyone else who's on this plane. But if we look at the window, this is what you see far, far below you. And what we see in white lettering, because it's always white lettering, right? Is Churchill, Manitoba, Canada, on the shores of Hudson Bay.
I've been there.
Oh, have you? Nice.
Yeah, it's a pretty interesting place, I tell you.
Yeah, I've never been. I've never been that far north before, but it looks pretty cool. So you two are the only ones who are on a plane flying into the remote town of, or remote community at least, of Churchill. It's very much like what you see here. Snow, ice, and there is a single airport that was a former joint U.S. Air Force and Canadian Forces base. You can see that there is, there's people, there's signs of civilization down there, or signs of life, of people moving back and forth. Now, one of the things we did last week with our Moon Knight one-shot that I thought worked pretty well is a reference, you know, for those who joined us last time, forgive me for repeating myself, but one of the things I've thought of when I was writing these sessions is how it used to be when we were kids and we'd grab a comic off the spinner rack at the drugstore and we'd have part 3 or part 4 of a comic, but not have the story before that or after that. That's sort of what we're going to appreciate, how we're going to approach today's session. We're going to do a little bit of a flashback because at the time, when I was a kid at least, Jim Shooter was the editor-in-chief for Marvel Comics, and he required that all writers have a bit of a recap of what happened before at the start on the first page of the comic, because every Marvel comic could be someone's first comic. We're going to do something similar by way of flashback, making use of some of the subsystems in Savage Worlds to figure out why we're here. The world of Days of Future Past is tentatively set in about 30 years in the future. At the time of the comics, they did not put a timeline in the original series, I don't think, but in the most direct follow-up to that was a series of comics in Excalibur in the late 80s when Alan Davis went back and kind of continued the story. And in those, I went back to those last night, they say it's the distant future of 2015. So
nice.
Yeah. So we're going to assume this is, 2015, because of the Marvel sliding timeline. You guys are, your characters would be adults in the 2020s and, old folks in the 2050s. You guys have come here because of both of you have been members of, to give context for what things are like in Canada at the time, while the United States, in the time of the Days of Future Past, has progressively become increasingly fascistic and more brutal in its enforcement of on laws on undesirables, and particularly in mutants. Canada has not followed that same path as of yet, but the more that it goes along towards that, the more agitated that, and the more worried about spillover. There have been incidents of Sentinels crossing the border to bring fugitive mutants back, and that is something that Canadian government has grappled with, but it really does not have the capacity to resist them. If the U.S. decides to deploy, currently they're only used on domestic mutants. Currently they're only used on domestic superhumans, and the odd time when they're pursuing a mutant across a border or another superpowered individual across a border, they will catch them and bring them back. And in spite of the Canadian government's protestation for the international law principle of malacaptus, that you cannot capture someone, break someone else's sovereign laws to bring them back, the regime in the States that supports the Sentinels does not really care. So it seems as if it's really only a matter of time before that is a more serious threat they have to deal with. In that light, it is unofficially, at this point, this takes place about maybe 4 years before the events of the original comics. There is a unit within the Canadian Forces called, unofficially, the Canadian Resistance Army, that is training to fight the Sentinels. As part of that, the future of Days of Future Past, it seems in the original comics it's intended to be like a clear path directly to that future, and then it was changed by the X-Men by virtue of the Kate Pryde traveling to the past. But there is a point of departure that we learn about later on, and that is because in the original classic Dark Phoenix saga, there's a key moment where Jean Grey / Phoenix goes back to see her parents, and her father rejects her. And the mental link that she has because of her telepathy is just imagine your parent not only like saying something to reject you, but you knowing precisely how terrified and revulsed they are by you because she's a telepath. That's what pushes her over. But in the world of Days of Future Past, he does not reject her. So she never dies. It leads to this dark future, but also leads to the birth of Rachel Summers, who become the second Phoenix. So I mention that only because a lot of the stuff from the 80s would have carried forward. Alpha Flight still carried forward. The Fantastic Four carried forward. So much of what we knew, things like Cable and Bishop, never really came back in time because it was a different timeline, different Earth. But in this one, Alpha Flight is really continued to be the preeminent Canadian super team. But right now, what they've, rather than being superheroes and going out and beating up bad guys, you all have been part of the Canadian Resistance Army. Dr. Langowski, in your capacity, great that you've got a superpowered gamma, furred juggernaut on your side, but it might be even better to have a biophysicist doing research and trying to figure out a way to do things. And Colonel Logan, you have grown into your role of a leader within the Canadian Resistance Army, using not only your years and years and years of combat expertise, but also the experience you have with supernatural and the superhuman and the Sentinels. But what you came across separately is two different things that made you a little concerned. For one, what do you want to be called? Dr. Langowski? Walter? Walt? What do you think? I will give you context, if you don't know as well. Walter's one of these neat characters too, where not only is he a brilliant gamma physicist, and he knew Bruce Banner back in the college days, he's also an ex-football player. So unlike, puny Banner, he's a great big ex-football player in addition to being a fucking scientist.
I think he would probably, in this capacity, go by Dr. Langowski.
Okay. So
it's the role he's playing, right? He's the Sasquatch when they need him, but his day-to-day is all Dr. Langowski.
Okay. So you can picture that in probably either out of Ottawa or some other, Ontario-based research facility. I think he's from Saskatchewan originally, but that's where your research was being conducted. And there was something that you came across that raised your hackles. Bruce Banner, the Hulk, is dead, murdered by the Sentinels years ago.
Wow.
But what you found is it seems as if you were accidentally at one point included on a bit of correspondence. And it's not, in big organizations that happens, but the thing that concerned you about it is, one, the amount of redactions that were on it, big black bars across this thing. But the one thing that was not was the word gamma.
Oh.
And you looked into this a little further, and what you found, people were denying that there was, that, oh, this must be just an error. No, it's an old project. It never went anywhere. Oh, no, nothing about that. And it's probably been years since you've had reason to be suspicious because, again, like the whole Canadian Resistance Army is focused together to try and figure out a way to deal with the inevitable expansion of the Sentinels northward.
Right.
So everyone's been working together on this, but the way that people have been clamming up about it or just refusing to talk to you about it raises concerns. Department H, I believe, is the organization that originally founded and funded Alpha Flight and the Weapon X program. And it's worth remembering the Weapon X program itself was a secret Canadian program. So this is, right. If there is a tradition of conducting these things, and you may not think of it as such necessarily, but the first time that Colonel Logan, that you met James Hudson, Guardian or Vindicator or Weapon Alpha, was when he was basically a super soldier of the Canadian government. This is not an unusual, not an unprecedented thing. So with that in mind, I think that the person you knew best to be able to investigate this stuff, who was not ensconced in the secret dealings, was Colonel Logan. You guys have had, back in the day when Logan was part of the X-Men, and after you guys had had that really unfortunate run-in where you the Alpha Flight went down to try and drag Logan back up to Canada. You did have a, in happier days, an adventure where yourself and James, yourself and an old friend, Dr. Two Youngman, also known as Shaman, and Nightcrawler, had a bit of a thing in the north together. Now, keen viewers will note that no, Sasquatch wasn't actually there for that adventure, but he references it in an issue of the Hulk later on. So I'm just adopting a retcon that Bill Manslow already introduced. So what you found, Colonel Logan, is that if you looked into it, same thing. There seems to be, the way that people have been responding to this has been suggesting something is going on. And the only thing you were able to pack up or to locate is a single name, a military base that doesn't appear on any records you could access without taking further steps. And that is CFB, or Canadian Forces Base, CFB Gillen. And that meant nothing to you, but Dr. Lankowski, I can't remember, do you have academics as a skill?
Check my sheet.
I think you might not, actually. No, you got athletics, not academics. So here's what a cursory search would have revealed for you. The only way that Gillen names, Gillen is the name of the captain of a really old, a 17th century, early 17th century sailing ship called the Nonsuch.
Oh.
And do you remember what the Nonsuch is, Jeff?
Oh, of course I do.
Yeah?
It's a ship that's in the museum in Winnipeg.
Yeah, there's a replica of it, but do you remember why it's there? Like, do you remember the significance of it?
Oh, do I know the story of it? No, I don't actually know that.
So the Nonsuch
I would have been too young to remember that.
Yeah, and it's we've went back far too many times as kids, having grown up in Winnipeg. The Nonsuch was the first of what would become the Hudson Bay Company's ships to sail into Hudson's Bay.
Oh.
So it's a military base named after the first European to sail into Hudson's Bay. So that was the information he had. Something about gamma radiation, a hidden Air Force base that you could not, or Canadian Forces base that you could not locate, named after a 400-year or 300-year dead English captain, and a veil of secrecy around that stuff. So why don't we do a quick networking scene? And I'll see how you guys found yourself on this plane arriving in Churchill to fill in more of your investigation and reveal more of the mystery. So as a reminder, typically what networking uses is either persuasion or intimidation, but you can use kind of anything to try and uncover more information, and you're more than welcome to use your creativity to come up with neat ways of doing this. So what do you guys think? What would have been, I guess, first off, what would you guys make of that, what you've learned just so far, and what would have been the next steps of your investigation?
Well, knowing a little bit about the history, I mean, I think that, Churchill is an obvious place to go look for this missing base. I mean, that is a leap that makes perfect sense to Dr. Lankowski. So he probably... maybe he contacted Logan because, having been a member of Project X, and he's been in the military for so long. He's also a good resource as far as old military information. And what is he, a colonel at this point?
Colonel, yeah.
Yeah, as a colonel, he's going to definitely have access to a lot more military information and people than I do. So,
Where do you think this meeting would have happened?
I would have gone to wherever Logan was.
Okay. And if you want to visualize, what Toronto looks like, John, picture almost any American show shot in anything that doesn't involve the University of British Columbia campus. Toronto stands in for pretty much any other American city. So it's just generic. So many shows are shot there that just make use of Toronto as Philadelphia or Cincinnati or New York or whatever. So you can picture any generic, TV big city. That's what Toronto is like.
Okay.
Where do you think Logan be?
Well, Logan probably still has a dislike for most, like maybe large cities in general, just because of the smell and sentinels can come in at any moment and bust down stuff. But in Canada, they're safer, I suppose. They don't come quite up here.
Yep.
So he's probably just scouting new talent. One of the bars. He's given up cigars to a certain extent, and he's leaning on alcohol now.
Sure. So how about a dive bar in Toronto?
That sounds good.
Okay.
Looking just to do like a good old fashioned scrap with somebody without, blood flying or much anyway.
Okay. So you can picture you go into this bar, softly in the background, the Tragically Hip is playing, and you can find Logan sitting alone at a booth far, on the far side of this dank place. There's news on, you can hear news playing in the background, and it's talking about how a Sentinel raid revealed, or the Arizona state police have revealed the Sentinels have taken part in a raid on a mutant terrorist compound. And you head on over, join Colonel Logan.
Yeah. Probably come over with a pitcher of beer. Logan.
You see him sneering up at the newscast and mumbling something, and he looks over. Legowski, I smelled you coming.
Yeah, I'm sure you did.
That stink never quite goes away.
Yeah, thanks. So I got something for you. Looking into this missing military base. Sorry, Kev, what was the guy's name?
Gillen. I'll put it in chat. Hold on. It's CFB.
Like Gillum, like the... Oh, Gillen. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Gillen. You ever heard of it?
Is it a missing base?
I can't seem to find record of it anywhere.
You brought a folder with you?
Yeah, I probably have like a dossier or something.
So Gillum, it's an M. My handwriting.
Okay, yeah. So it is like isn't there a place in Manitoba called Gillum?
There could be. I'm not sure. It would make sense that there would be something named after him. Captain Zachariah Gillum.
Okay, yeah. So I'd probably pass over and it's probably really thin. It's like one of those. It's like a file folder, but it's got like a page or like 2 pages in it because there's nothing, right? Yeah. So it's like,
you see, Logan pops open, just raises an eyebrow at how many few papers are there. It's like, if they hit it, they hit it well.
Yes.
What does stand out to you, Logan, is as you're flipping through, there's the one page that he has printed with that is heavily redacted email. Where the original one was set in the 80s, but we'll assume modern day technology because that's what a modern day comic would do. What you can see is black bars with lots of redactions in it, but highlighted in green is the word gamma.
Strange, right?
Gamma is not something you play around with. They're intending to do something.
Yeah. Well,
what would Logan know about this place? I mean, I assume since he's been, part of Weapon X and whatever, he'd probably keep his thumb on the pulse of whatever shady stuff the government's doing.
Yeah, I mean, like the original the base where I can't remember officially if it was ever named. My mind wants to say it's the Yukon Territory is where the original Weapon X lab, like where you were created, was located, but I don't remember. I might be remembering that incorrectly. What you know about this, Churchill was originally it's not in the photograph here, but it was originally a fur trading fort. It was Fort Churchill, which then grew into a community, which then became during the Cold War a joint American and Canadian armed forces base. Part of what was called the DEW line, a series of radar installations far in the Arctic Circle to detect Soviet incursion up there. The DEW line fell out of service in, I believe, the 80s with the end of the Cold War, but it has been reinstated during these times because God knows where Sentinels may be coming from. So that not only Canadians but other world governments have sort of instead of being the DEW line being a cooperation of the Canadians and the Americans, this is now everyone against the American Sentinel supporting government. What you know is that the CFB Churchill has been shut down for decades, and in fact in the early 2000s or the about 20 years ago, they also shut down the port there too. So, because Churchill you can't see it terribly well, but it is a port town. So it really...
A huge bay.
Yeah.
For those who don't know.
Yeah, I was going to get a map of it too, but it's worth looking. Like it's right on the cusp of the Hudson Bay kind of looks like a inverted P, and it's right at the bottom of the curve of the P is where Churchill's located. But you know that it's been closed down for years. What do you think? I think you probably have done some legwork before this too. Do you have a skill you think you might use to try and fish out some other information?
I mean, I'd be using persuasion. I don't see myself intimidating people.
Okay. And what about Logan? And again, like those are the suggested skills for networking, but you can use other things too. Like, for instance, if you wanted to use battle to try and search military records. It's not a direct application of it, but you're unlikely to be fighting a massive battle here, and I think that's the closest to having like an understanding of the military infrastructure that we have as far as skills go.
Yeah, I was thinking that, or maybe using stealth to sneak into places he probably shouldn't go to.
Okay.
If he doesn't get answers like the normal typical way, because if he's a colonel now, he's got a kind of reputation to uphold. You can't threaten everybody in the military to get your way. That's just not going to work.
So I think the only thing is those active skills. I don't think they necessarily work because that still doesn't that'll get you in where you need to get to, but you need to know what you're looking for, right? And that's where either persuasion or intimidation or something else would come into play.
You know, and if you're going the angle of like this might be shady, there might be still people you would intimidate in the military. I mean,
at least the record keeper to get him access to stuff and be quiet about it.
Well, or generals or people who tend to fall on that shady side. I mean, Logan would have no problem pushing those guys around,
or maybe using some perfume he smells on somebody's neck to blackmail them.
I'd buy that, yeah. So what do you think? What would you like to roll?
Let's play nice. Let's go with battle to see if we can get like an inner working network.
Sure,
kind of
which gives a battle check, please. Okay, you want to Benny that?
Yeah, might as well spend a Benny.
Okay.
Let's get the ball rolling. There we go.
Nice. All right, so what you find is, after some looking around and some sweet talk and perhaps a little bit of blackmailing, of and maybe that's a thing, right? So it's a records clerk who just doesn't, that the rivalry between like the records people or the office people and the field people, like someone who is a bit of an asshole to you, but because of the smell, he's him and his secretary are are more than familiar. So you're able to, he he goes in saying like, I'm not giving you anything, Logan, blah, 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 blah. And then, as soon as you make a comment about the smell on him and the picture of his family on his desk, he's like, Rebecca, give him access to whatever he wants. And what you find is, while there is, there's nothing directly relating, like there isn't a like invoice slip that is showing off to whatever else. What you do find are travel invoices, things to where there are people that, by people I mean members of the Canadian Armed Forces, and particularly keyed to the like bureaucratic code for what will become the Canadian Resistance Army. There are a bunch of troops, at least 100, who have been flown out to Churchill.
Definitely hiding something out there.
It's not a regular place they would go, so when a cargo plane needs to head out to Churchill, there's some invoicing that goes from that. What happens from there, you don't know. You can't find any other secret lab tech that invoice that's going out there. But what you can tell is the invoices and whatnot relating to the grunt troops that are being sent out there. What about you, Dr. Lankowski? Is that sufficient for you guys to be heading out to Churchill, or is there other legwork you want to try and do and other questions you want to answer before we cut back to Churchill?
So I imagine that if Dr. Lankowski was doing anything, it would be in relation to the gamma radiation. Like maybe he's got some kind of a field office or something he can check in with where, they're doing, they've got scanners or satellites or something that are like constantly checking for it because, it is so dangerous. So maybe he's gone to check in with this sort of like team that monitors gamma to see if he can. Oh,
definitely. I imagine that it's not quite the thing. Like the whatever it's like stage, or it's not stages. It goes, that's cancer. What are the levels they have for the labs, for the biohazard labs? Levels? Is it level 4?
It might just be levels. Yeah. They might just call them levels.
Only because I know it. Like, so in the Marvel universe, there would likely be something similar for studying some of these other exotic things, like cosmic radiation, where the Fantastic Four got their powers. Vita rays, where like Captain America's powers are sort of related to it. Wonder Man's powers are sort of related to it, and gamma radiation. So what are you thinking? Is that persuasion for you? Is that science? What do you?
I mean, I think I have to start with persuasion just because, it's not his lab. It's not his people. It's, I think he would use his celebrity a little bit here too. Like, it's sort of like, he's a well-known scientist, and
there's two ways to play that too. You're not only are you a scientist, but like, I can't speak for Toronto or Vancouver, but I know Winnipeg, and Winnipeg is, in spite of it having hundreds of thousands of people, is still very much a fucking small town. And what small towns tend to do is they remember their sports heroes.
For sure.
So even though you can drive across Manitoba or across Canada and the prairies, you'll pass through these tiny little towns, and there's a billboard up, home of so-and-so, some, hockey player who played for 3 seasons on the Bruins or something like that, right?
Yeah, totally.
The reason I mention that is because in spite of you being a superhero, in spite of you being a brilliant scientist, the fact that you were a football player is something that some people are just always going to remember.
Right, yeah. So for sure, he would lean on that.
Okay. So give us a persuasion check, please. I think give a modifier of 1 in that, too, if you're going to...
So you put 1 in the box?
Just 1, yeah, for the modifiers. That's a raise. Nice. So, you've got someone who is a younger scientist who's a little starstruck with you not only being, rock star biophysicist, but also, and an expert in gamma radiation, but also a, football player. And this seems to be someone who's more inclined to the latter of your careers. What is it that you're specifically trying to ask about him?
Well, just like if there's been any signs of gamma radiation in the Churchill area, or just trying to get a bit of a starting search area, like on the west side of the bay or whatever. If I can get some kind of
so here's what you gain is, while it is not a what do you call it? It is not something that they would normally allow to slip out, because you got a raise. What the guy tells you is one thing that you may not know: the Hulk, before the coming of the Sentinels, had several appearances in Canada. At least one time he fell from space, and seemingly another time he was hiding out from the American military up here. And one of the things he tends to come across is things that want to rip and claw, including Weapon X, the first time they encountered, or rip and tear him. The other is a horrific kind of like supernatural creature called a Wendigo. Both times there was a lot of tissue damage, and there was biological material that was recovered from Banner. So they had tissue and fluid samples of the Hulk. Those were recently requested. They don't know why, and he can't tell you where they went to. All that stuff was classified, but the tissue samples of the Incredible Hulk that they had on file, those have recently been, within the last year, requested and transferred elsewhere. And he doesn't know the end destination, but he knows that they were heading off to Manitoba.
Right. So for that, I mean, I would know that those are too small to have any kind of reading outside of the lab itself.
Definitely, yeah. Like, you wouldn't be able to like make a gamma detector and try and track it down, if that's what you're thinking.
Right. Yeah.
Definitely not.
It's like,
but it's just knowing, it's the kind of thing that, when, in spite of the fact that there's a lot of gamma-powered, monsters or heroes or villains in the Marvel Universe, those are really, really, really the outliers. If you expose yourself to gamma radiation, the thing you most normally get is fucking tumors.
Right.
The fact that there are so many that manage to have some kind of superhuman reaction to it is a rarity, and has been extremely uncommon since the era of or at the very least, the Sentinels are killing off things that are happening in the US, and you haven't seen it happen in Canada. So if they're using that stuff to try and crack the code, as it were, how to make it work again, the power at your hands, Dr. Langowski, and the damage you could do. Can you imagine that in the hands of someone less responsible than yourself?
Yeah, well, and it's also dangerous science. Like, there will be people killed to perfect it. Like, it's just not the kind of thing it's not ethical in Dr. Lankowski's mind, for sure. So.
No, and like 30 years ago or 20 years ago, you may not have thought the government capable of these kind of things, but desperate times, and again, sleeping next to the elephant, that might push the government to be doing more desperate studies. And there are certainly unscrupulous scientists that you've met in your time that would be happy to do that. Not only, homegrown horrors from Canadians, but also refugee mad scientists from the States. Those who saw the writing on the wall, could not find a place in the Sentinel regime, and have come up here and happily, kind of like the Canadian equivalent of Operation Paperclip.
Right.
So that's been the result of your investigations, guys. Do you feel you need more?
I would pass that along then. Like, I think they may be experimenting with some of the, Banner's tissues.
And Logan, he'll say, well, I don't blame them for trying with the threat of the Sentinels, but I've seen what the Canadians can do in the past when you're given free rein, and it's never a good thing.
Are you saying you're not a good thing, Logan?
I'm a very
Winks
bad thing. What I do is not very nice.
That's true. And why I need you here.
Well,
I think if we find them, they're not going to be too friendly to us showing up on their doorstep.
that's true, but imagine if the Americans got wind of this and sent their sentinels in to collect samples. If we've heard about it.
True.
We should
Do you
check this
think
place out.
that this is something endorsed by the government then? If this is going on, do you think the Canadian government likely endorses this?
Absolutely. With how
Okay.
desperate they are against the Sentinels, but Logan distrusts the Americans just enough to think that they might have a hand in this in the first place, and is eager to find out what's happening.
Okay. So then, first off, everyone gets a Benny. And second,
Nice.
if the Canadian government is going to be watching this, how do you guys plan on investigating it?
Well, does my driving extend to flying a plane?
No, that would be piloting.
Oh, darn. I was thinking maybe we could like pose as cargo deliverers and
And you can drive up to Churchill, but it's a very long drive and can be very dicey in the wintertime.
Yeah.
If you guys go ahead, Jeff.
I was going to say, I think maybe we find a pilot who's willing to, there's a lot of small
Definitely.
planes in Manitoba, a lot of small businesses that run.
There's
flights
also an
to-
airline called Calm Air that will fly you up from Winnipeg.
Yeah. So I think we just find, maybe we book some kind of like a vacation. Like people go up there to go,
Yep. There actually is a
see
place
the polar bears and
called Diamond Lake Echo Lodge up there, not far from it's to the north west along Hudson's Bay from there. So if you want to have that as the excuse or the cover,
that sounds like a good
then
idea.
that we then cut back. We've done our flashback and we see you guys coming into Churchill. So you guys arrive at Churchill Airport, and to think of it as an airport, I mean, this is a classic small town airport, right? Like you land on the runway, it taxis in, and you're getting off of the plane on the wide open, freezing, what do you call it? Plane that effectively doubles as the runway. The terminal is a single building that is
it's like a single room.
like a 50-year-old ex Canadian Forces or American Canadian military base or airport, where you're going to go in there, you're going to collect your luggage, from in there, but it's going to be one dude who brings it in from what's taken off of the plane. There's only maybe 2 other passengers who are getting off at the same time. That's not true. It'll be packed because there's rare flights, and this is only because of, I know this happens in Alberta. Professionals will fly up, so you'll have like lawyers or doctors or whatnot who will fly up, do their shit for the day, and then fly back at the same day.
Yeah, my dad was actually Churchill's psychiatrist when I was a kid.
No kidding.
Yeah, he flew up there either 3 or 4 times a year, and he would be up there for 3 days, and he would see everybody, and then
That's
so that's
cool.
why I've been there.
Yeah, well, I've been the closest comparator is what do you call it? Fort McMurray in Alberta. I've been up there once for discoveries, and they have to, because they've only got one person who lives there who does court reporting. They have to fly up court reporters. So you fly them in, they do the transcript for stuff, and then they fly them back at the end of the day.
Right.
It's the most expensive transcript I've ever had because we had to pay for the fucking flights for them to come out too.
Oh yeah, no kidding, eh?
Yeah, but in any event, so you guys have landed here. You've had definitely time to plan and plot how you wish to conduct your investigation next, but what do you guys plan on doing? And again, we can think of this in terms of the networking. If you got kind of a general idea of like, I want to ask around or I want to beat some heads or whatever, we can interpret that loosely in the fiction to figure out what scenes transition through next.
Right. I mean, I feel like, I don't know, we could rent some snowmobiles or something like that. And,
Think of that,
military operations are going to leave a footprint. They're going to leave some kind of, especially if they've been moving people in and out recently, like there is going to be some Also, even just asking people, right? Asking locals, like, they're going to see something. They're observant people. You have to be, because the polar bears, you got to be careful they're not coming into town.
Yeah.
So we could just ask around.
Yeah, you might not like Churchill has a and even in the era of Days of Future Past, it has a modest tourism economy, all right, a tourism-based economy, not only for going out and seeing the Northern Lights and experiencing the tundra. They have these great big like jacked up buses that they take out on the tundra in the around polar bears, so that they're safe to be in and won't be attacked by polar bears, but you can go and see them right up close.
They're like school buses on monster truck tires.
Exactly. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So that's use any of that stuff in as far as your cover that you want to use. So what do you guys wish to do next?
Yeah, we could even go on that polar bear bus tour, because they tour all around the area, and they may have seen, we could speak to the bus driver sort of while we're on the tour, if we're selling this as we're just here, on a vacation. We could be asking the bus driver and see if he's seen any traffic or tracks out on the ice or any strange stuff like that. What do you think?
Well, Logan doesn't like it because it puts him like interacting with a lot of people, and he's more of a solo hunter. But he'll go along with it. Just grumbling about it.
Okay. So then, Dr. Lankowski, if you want to give us it sounds like persuasion to me.
Yeah, I think for someone like that, we're buddying them up. We're probably trying to use our celebrity again a little bit. This is.
Yeah. So here's what I'll say is that if you do want it, like if you're say wearing your old jersey or something like some way that would obviously make you stand out as that, I'll give you a +1 to the networking roll. But what it means is that you'll also have a -1 to like any kind of being inconspicuous roll.
Right. Okay. Oh my gosh.
You want to Benny that?
Yeah, I'll actually spend the Benny I forgot to add to my character sheet.
Yeah, sure.
Re-roll.
Nice.
Oh my gosh.
That's success though. 4 is all you need.
I know, but it's barely better.
So you're asking the driver, and what is sort of what direction are you trying to steer the conversation here?
Yeah, just like we've heard lots of we've heard there's been lots of action up here lately. You seeing any extra vehicles you weren't seeing, tracks, just that sort of conversation of like.
Yeah. What you find is that it's been a long time. I can't even remember the last time I saw a cargo plane coming in here. Certainly not military ones. In a community like this, cargo planes would come in fairly regularly because that's how you get supplies in most easily. Although I think there's a rail line to there now. But the most dependable one for high value stuff, it would fly in. But yeah, they talk a little bit about like I wish some of those soldiers they'd take part in take some time off. You'd think with the amount of them there and the amount of time they're spending up here that they'd have some time to come and spend time in the town, see the polar bears, see the Northern Lights. But no, all business, I guess.
Yeah, busy, eh?
Busy, and no one seems to know where they're going too. With how things are, I guess some things got to stay secret, but it's kind of an open secret if you've got a bunch of soldiers coming in and then heading out.
They've been getting regular deliveries?
They've even opened up the port again, if you believe that.
Wow.
Strange.
Delivering people. I don't know where they're going, and they brought in outsiders. There's no one local who's been operating the ships, but yeah, someone's been, they've been heading off, not this time of year, mind you, but in the spring and all through the summer. There were people coming in, all getting aboard the boat and heading up. You'd think we were invading the Arctic Circle.
Well, Crazy times.
Oh.
And then I'll probably just steer the conversation back to some polar bear or so,
Okay.
something mundane.
Logan,
Yes.
anything you wish to do for? Oh, yes. First off, you guys could expand. It's not like a 1-for-1. You name one or learn one little tidbit. You didn't get a raise on it, so the guy's not going to be super forthcoming. But that is the general gist of what you got from your conversation.
It gave us a direction anyway. We could check the port. So.
And Logan, any thought as to what you want to do with your next leg of the investigation?
He's eager to get out and look for signs of this space. So I think he's gonna probably talk around a couple of the local hunters to see if they know good spots and where to avoid. Maybe there's been some accidents recently.
Sure. Yeah. I think so. Why don't you give us a persuasion check then? I'm assuming he's not trying to scare them.
No.
Okay. There you go. So what you hear is you didn't get a raise. So like a lot of northern communities in Canada, there is a substantial Inuit population in Churchill as well. And the Inuit hunters, this is something that you normally would do around here, right? Even in spite of the polar bears, there's all sorts of things you still can hunt, even in the wintertime. But they seem to be staying in.
Really?
There's something, they're not being forthcoming about it, but the gist you get, I think because of the places that you've traveled and the people you've dealt with, when people are clamming up and don't want to talk about something. And that tells you something in and of itself. But these hunters are talking about that, they don't think it's not smart to be hunting right now. This ain't a time. So this is in a winter that will let you do that. If you test the waters about the soldiers being in, that does not seem to be a concern of theirs. It's some other reason. Now, what you could do, you could spend a Benny and re-roll that and try and fish for a raise if you like.
Chances aren't high, but let's go for it. The exploding dice are for, right?
Sorry?
That's what the exploding dice are
Heck
for,
yes,
right?
that's exactly what this is for you. Oh,
it's
you know
worse.
what? Sorry, I'm a dummy. You also have your conviction.
Oh,
Right. And you can, and you
Which
can
is almost
let's
maybe a better method.
Undo
to try
that one and do a
raise
conviction instead.
Okay, and remember, you take the better of the two in Savage Worlds. As long as you don't roll double ones, you take the better of the two. That's an 8. That's a raise. So what is it that you, Logan, you've got experience with the supernatural. By this point, you have dealt with the Hand, you've dealt with the Wendigo, you've dealt with, Cool and Gath transforming New York City into a Hyborian age horror. So, you're no stranger to the supernatural.
So he'll probably respond if they're climbing up about saying it's not a good time to hunt. He's like, are the what's the word? What do you say, a Wendigo or the supernatural critters crawling out? Maybe they need one of their own to hunt them.
They all sort of look at you.
I'm sure you've heard of the Wolverine, and he just grins at them.
And they all sort of look at one another, and they look at you, and they say, "What do you know of the Wendigo?"
Well, I fought this bloke that called himself one. Turns out he was as mortal as anybody else.
So you would know that. Here's what you would know about your experience with the Wendigo is, the first time you encountered them, it just seemed to be this giant, 12-foot tall, furred monstrosity. To give you a sense of what the Wendigo looks like.
Oh yeah, that guy.
A creature powerful enough to go toe-to-toe with the Hulk.
Yeah. It bleeds,
But
though.
what you found on a later adventure with actually Dr. Two Youngman, the shaman, and your old, now past, Kurt Wagner, your friend, Nightcrawler, there is a cannibal spirit that possesses men or women or humans, to transform them into Wendigo. It's when they consume flesh in the desperate times in the north.
Gotcha.
They can be possessed by this, and these horrific creatures can be out there.
Well, name drop the shaman as well. Say I know a guy.
Yeah. So I think shaman isn't quite as like famous as what Wolverine is necessarily. Well, that's not true. Hold on. Again, like Canadians have like a lot of smaller countries, we have a fucked up way of thinking about our celebrities. So like someone who was on a TV show that was popular at one point in the 80s for the rest of their life will be known by people. The British have that weird way with their celebrities too, where like once a celebrity, always a celebrity. So superheroes, I imagine, would be the same way, that they would know who shaman is. And yeah, like the last time you remember facing one of these things, you, Logan, at least, Dr. Two Youngman needed to invoke a kind of a mystic exorcism to drive this spirit out. And Dr. Lankowski, it's weird that this, if he brings this up to you, it's weird that that comes up. The last time you've encountered a Wendigo as well, it was with Bruce in his form as the Hulk. You were investigating a series of murders that seemed to be related to a Wendigo, and you came across Bruce. This was in one of those weird times where he was both a man and not, and the Wendigo is not a creature you can just beat into submission. You know, you need to have a mystic remedy for it. And at the time, you were struggling with the Hulk because Banner, for his entire tragic life, constantly fought against losing control. And that's the thing you had, is that Hulk just wanted to beat the shit out of this thing, and you needed Banner to use his mind to try and fit through it. It's weird how things come around that way.
Yeah, this is...
So, that's what the Hunters, that's what you learn from the Hunters. And again, they don't think it has their reason for not wanting to. There's a hungry winter out there. They are not going out, and it doesn't seem to have anything to do with, in their mind, the military. But
were there like any accidents that are keeping them from going certain places? People gone missing?
There was one. There was some tourists. They kept it quiet. But there were tourists who came out for, a hunting trip out here, and it was one of the locals who found what remained of them. And what they said was a tragic, polar bear attack, but they know what a polar bear attack, or that person knows what a polar bear does to a person and what something else does. And while a polar bear will consume things, the way that the flesh was stripped and all tissues and whatnot were consumed, it's not a bear that left those marks, it's something else.
Well, as an aside, Lankowski, as we walk away, Wolverine will say, well, if this missing base doesn't pan out, we got something else to hunt.
Yeah.
So
it's very troubling. Maybe they're trying to recreate Wendigo.
That would not be good.
No, not at all.
So,
worst comes to worst, I'll chop it in little bit of pieces and we'll burn it.
So, what do you guys wish to do next?
I suppose we need to find this base.
We could check out the port.
Further to what you guys had suggested too, just so you have an idea of what resources you have access to, you talked about hiring a pilot, and while you wouldn't necessarily need to do that to fly out to Churchill, that's something you could do out here. There's tons of bush pilots who are hired by mining companies and oil companies, or tourists or whatnot. The way you get around out here, especially this time of year, is by plane. So there would be other, little Cessnas or whatnot that you could hire out from locals to get around. So, what are you thinking?
Aerial advantage would probably give us more places to look, so we could do a circle round. So we
Yeah,
can find something that looks unusual.
rent a plane or something. Yeah,
Yeah.
like get someone to fly us. Okay.
Yep. Sounds like a good idea.
Okay. So, as you guys, what do you guys want to do then? You can definitely find someone who will, hire out their plane for you. Where they just want to know where you're going and what your, what the job is. Unless it is obviously suicidal, they would definitely, take the job.
Right.
Let's see. Well, we told her to look down by the port. Wondering if we could do a little bit of surveillance around the area, look for good. Well, at least tell the pilot that we're looking for good spots to come out and possibly fish or hunt, and thought the air would be a better way of seeing it than trudging on the ground.
Well, what is it you're looking for? Yes. There's local hunters you can hire out, and there's a hiring thing. There are, tourist, or if you're from out of town, there's agencies or companies that you can hire to help do that. Although,
Well, the hunters are spooked. Talked to them and they said it's after the polar bear attack. It's not a good time for hunting.
No, so you may be to your own devices. If you want something a little more controlled, there is a to the north west. There's a lodge. It's an echo lodge, not hunting, mind you, but it's an entirely fenced in facility, so you can see the polar bears come up close. If that's what you want to do, right up to the fences, and you're safe. And otherwise get to enjoy all the amenities of a vacation.
I think like Lukowski. We want to go to this Echo Lodge.
Check it out.
If you want to see the bay from the air, that's certainly a way to go.
Yeah.
You can fly us up there?
I can fly you up there. You may want to call for reservations, but yeah.
Sounds like a plan.
Okay.
I'd probably just take my phone out and call right then.
Yeah.
I got this.
Yeah, like as if we're just like almost strangely anxious to go.
Because
right?
of the recent deaths, there's been a couple of cancellations. Because of the polar bear death, there's been a couple of cancellations. So yeah, you guys are able to get yourself booked in, and you're good to go.
Yeah, well, I imagine like we're just like walking around with like, I don't even know if Logan brought any luggage, and I think Dr. Lankowski's got like a little backpack, so we're like ready to go. I don't think we're like traveling with suitcases and
Yeah, and I mean if they're if you're willing to go, he'll fly you up there. So let me just
yeah, we're ready to go now.
A lot of decision making going on here.
so
the wind blows.
So we cut to you guys aloft in the plane. This is a little different from what you're flying in before. Much more, much more modest. It's just the two of you. It's a lot louder, and you're seeing miles and miles and miles of wide open. On the left is tundra, snow-covered tundra. On the right is the seemingly endless bay of ice for Hudson Bay. And it's when you're flying over the site that you can get a sense of what Diamond Lake is like. Let's see, did I put this on? I did. This is what Diamond Lake Echo Lodge looks like, guys. An actual place. Which looks pretty freaking cool, I should say. So you're flying over this, and what you can see the fencing that's in there. You can see it's right on the bay as well. I think it takes you probably about half an hour to 45 minutes to fly there. It's really not that far from Churchill. And there is a landing strip, but what you can see is from above, there are massive holes in at least the walls of two of the buildings and a hole in the roof that looks like it was torn back by something as you were flying over, and your pilot is like, oh god, that ain't right, that ain't right, what? And the fence and at least one part has been completely torn away. There is no sign of life down there. He says, oh my, and you can hear he's talking to on his thing, he's going to be calling in some kind of emergency to the I imagine it's the RCMP based out of Churchill.
Yeah.
Gotcha. At that point, I think Colonel Logan he'll pull out his identification, show the pilot, and says, "Put us down."
Okay.
Oh, nice.
He looks back and forth at you guys and kind of nods. So you land, and as you get out, the thing that definitely draws your attention is obviously the ruin of this vacation spot. Colonel Logan, would you give us a notice check at +2?
Do I sense something on the wind?
There's blood in there. Yeah, even from as far away as you are right now, there's definitely blood in there. And then you hear something moving
Look
in
at the
bushes to the side.
You should probably get out of here.
So you look over, and this is what you see poking up. I will tell you, as soon as you almost got your claws part out and then going back, if you go to the Diamond Lake page on Google Earth, this is one of the photos they took there. And I was mentioning before we went live, for those listening at home, that I desperately had two things I needed to load, two assets I wanted to load. The fact that there's pictures of Wolverines at Diamond Lake Lodge, I'm like, how can I not include this?
Yeah. No kidding.
I imagine Wolverine has a little bit of a soft spot for actual Wolverines.
Yeah.
Does it look okay? Is it bloodied up?
Oh yeah, no, it looks fine. It has nothing to do with anything. This is the hack part of the film where you look over and then the Wolverine sticks its snout up looking at you guys. It's nowhere near the lodge, but you just sort of nod towards it. Your claws go back in, and then we'll take our mid-session break, and you guys will find out what's in the lodge afterwards. So, for those listening at home, we'll be back momentarily to see what awaits our heroes in Diamond Lake Lodge. So, back momentarily. Okay.
Well, now before we get back to it, Kev, as usual at halftime, I always have to go and show you the show and tell. Here you go. Here's the Incredible
That's
Hulk.
the one I'm talking about. The one I referenced.
Or where Hulk fight and Wendigo. There you go.
That's precisely the one I was talking about, where whatchamacallit, where Banner was fighting against his savage thing.
And I don't have 141, but I have 142. This is the conclusion of the original Days of Future Past.
I've read that one.
Wolverine dies, Colossus dies,
Colossus dies, Storm dies.
Cyclops dies.
Storm gets a fucking
the world ends,
chest.
essentially. This one's... And then I actually have the next one, too.
I think that's the final one. That's the final issue that John Byrne and Chris Claremont did together.
Yeah, there you go.
Before he went to
so there's my
Alpha
show and
Flight.
tell.
Very cool. Very, very cool. Yeah, that's actually precisely the comic, the Hulk issue I was referencing. Yeah.
That's a great cover.
Yep.
Shows you how big Sasquatch is.
I don't think he's actually that big. I think there's some creative
Hulk,
licenses.
And then there's Wendigo about to get the Hulk, and then huge Sasquatch right behind him.
Definitely some creative license used in that cover, but looks pretty fucking cool. The Wendigo is bigger than either of you guys in at least in Marvel Handbook stuff. So where we left our heroes was with you guys. Your pilot, by the way, his name is Leonard Reese, and he's on the sat phone with the RCMP talking about what and you can hear him saying to the RCMP, like, "I'm not going in there. No, you send someone up here." I don't know why he's got a fucking Southern accent. I do this
Logan will turn and says, "Somebody's already here. You need to get out of here."
I'll be leaving you guys alone.
Do you want to stick around for whatever did that?
Well, how are you going to get out of here?
He shows him the claws. Yeah.
You got wings in there too?
No, but big guy can carry me.
So Sasquatch, you would know, you don't move a lot faster than anyone else, so you guys would be hiking through hours of wilderness.
Yeah, maybe we'll call you. We got his number.
I'm sure this place has a communication center.
Does, if it hasn't been trashed.
Well, this guy can put them together, I suppose.
I mean, he's a scientist. He's not a engineer.
Yeah. Well, if this pilot wants to stick around and risk his life,
no, it's your call. I mean, the only reason he's doing it is because he would be keenly aware of what happens if you leave someone behind in the in the bush here.
What if we tell him to come back?
I'll go head back to Churchill, get to yeah. Okay.
Well, if the RCMP's coming out of here, they could get us out of here.
So,
make sure you tell the RCMP there's two of us up here, so they bring enough, an extra spot on whatever vehicle or however they get here.
Okay. Dr. Lankowski, I've assumed the reason you have 2 tokens. I've assumed you've been in your human form all this time.
Yeah, it's probably a little too freaky for people to just be always in.
I mean, they would know who Sasquatch is, but it's physically difficult. It'll be you don't want to break shit and have to pay for it. You don't want to, it's easier to be in the human form and move around. Everything is designed for that size, but Sasquatch is definitely a more durable, form.
Right.
So, he agrees to that, and he's going to head back. So you guys can see. The plane, the propellers start up again. It taxis around, and then whoa, it's up and off. And that's the only sound. As that thing is disappearing in the distance, that's the only sound you can hear in here, apart from the sound of that one Wolverine, making its way away from you guys. Now, the reason I mentioned the transformation is because Dr. Lankowski, where your gamma power is right now, we've built it as a transformation. You need to make a successful focus roll to transform yourself into your Sasquatch form.
So now that there's danger, I think you're right. As he's flying away, I would probably transform, because I don't want to be caught trying to do that. If the Wendigo is here or other dangerous things, I don't want to be
so
vulnerable.
Maybe with you take your parka off and whatnot, you get all the things down that are going to
put my stuff in my backpack that I had or whatever. I don't want to destroy it.
Freezing cold out here, but then give us a focus roll.
Focus. There it is.
There'll be a skill under your skills.
Yeah, I saw it.
Look at that with a raise. So what we see taking the place only because it's worth seeing it's such an interesting character design. You know, I always loved, even before I knew anything about the character, I've loved Sasquatch only because such a different looking. He's not just a big tough guy, right? It's kind of like the Hulk. The Hulk's got a very different body type, almost seeming. So yeah, in place of Dr. Lankowski, there is now the 9-foot tall, orange furred Canadian superhero, Sasquatch.
Orange fur is also just so crazy.
Yeah, so great. So, what do you guys do next?
Well, it's going to be hard to sneak around with the big guy, but I suppose we move into the signs of the destruction and see what we can find.
Sure. So why don't you give us, let's see here. I think it will be, are you like inspecting for, crime scene kind of stuff? Are you trying to look through books to try and figure out what's happened here? Are you
I think the
looking for tracks?
First thing Logan's going to do is see if he can hear or find any survivors. They might be the best source of information, and then failing that, we'll dig around for other stuff.
You've heard nothing. You've heard nothing since this thing gone, and the only thing you can smell is blood, and maybe that's overpowering the scent of any living thing. But if you're trying to find any living thing, you can track by scent if it's within the last day, but this might be longer than that, using survival, or you can use just notice with +2 and see if you can smell anyone who is
go with notice.
Okay, that's with a raise. You're pretty confident with how still and how quiet things are up here. If there was anything living, you would hear it. You would smell them. All that you can smell here is death.
Logan says nothing here but ice and stillness. Whatever did this is long gone.
Yeah. Well, let's see if there's any evidence for what did cause this.
Okay.
Is it like an area where everything seemed to have started and then just ripped out of the buildings, or was it outside coming in?
Why don't you? Well, I think first off, with what seems is something made its way in here. Okay. If you want to try and look for tracks, you can give us a survival check.
Okay.
Well, I think we can also check.
Logan, you've also got Woodsman, which I think grants +2 for tracking.
Mm-hmm. Well, we can check the fence. You said it was like a protective perimeter fence.
Yeah.
If it had to tear through that, Wendigo fur is much different than polar bear fur. So.
Definitely. And with that good of a roll, between the tracks that are left, the scraps of long, stringy, oily fur or hair, and the stink, the thing that isn't evident in the comics is the stink of rotten flesh that comes off of a Wendigo.
Oh, yeah, because of the way it's created.
Exactly. And that is what's in Logan with a raise. You're absolutely certain, because you have seen these tracks an unfortunate number of times before. This is at least 3 Wendigos.
Oh my goodness.
And that is extremely unusual for there to be more. I'm not sure. There's one occurrence in the comics where there was multiple things, and that comic is kind of questionable in its logic. It was during the Red Hulk era when there was just sensationalizing. It was a very, but in any event, the illustration that I have for the Wendigo comes from that era, which is pretty awesome. But there's never been waves. Like a cannibal spirit by its nature generally is created in periods of desperation and loneliness.
Yeah, for it to happen 3 times back to back.
It's not unheard of, but I mean, this is it would have to be like a Donner Party type situation where there's multiple people relying on the flesh of one thing to live, or one other being.
This stinks of like experimentation.
Absolutely.
I think they can't figure it out. Maybe they had 3 guys starving them and threw them in a room with maybe Hulk flesh or something, and created something like this.
Could be. I mean, obviously, if they've come here and they've done this, they've lost control of their so-called experiment.
How's your sacred exorcisms these days, Langowski?
I don't know if it's good enough to handle this level of trouble.
Yeah, and that's where it's actually, if you go up and read that issue, Jeff, he talks about he's like, well, fuck, like I had Michael, the shaman, helping me before. He's not here now. Like, how are we going to deal with this?
Yeah.
And that is a similar, if somehow you get a hold of Michael Tu Youngman, Dr. Tu Youngman, then maybe that might help.
I mean, I guess at this point I would fire off like an email or whatever, like.
No signal here.
Oh, there's no signal here. Yeah, right.
Your fingers are really, really big right now.
Is there no power as well?
No power here either. This seems to have happened a couple of days ago.
Yeah, okay.
So let's see if we can.
But as you're looking around, one thing you do find, because I'm assuming you're looking for a landline as well, to see if there's anything, or like a sat phone or something like that. You find in the office, there is someone's got photographs sitting on the desk. Looks like they were taken and printed off, and it is photos of ships from it's difficult to tell where they're taken, because like any photos taken of ships in a bay like this one, where there's no, you can't judge where the other side of Hudson's Bay is from standing on it. But it seems like there's a lot of photos that are amateur in nature, taken of a Canadian Navy ship. And from the way that if you assume that the photos were taken here, the way that the ship is facing is to the west, as if it was sailing from Churchill, which would be to the east, the right, facing, if you're standing on the shores looking out across the bay, Churchill would be to your right. The prow of the ship was headed to the left, further up Hudson's Bay.
Maybe we need to go do some exploring along the bay.
Maybe.
One thing you remember is that the port's been closed for 30 years. So someone may not always take photos of, ships going by if there was a common thing, but if it's the first ship you've seen, or at least one of the only ships you've seen in 30 years, that may merit taking some photos.
Right.
Apart from that, you do actually find a sat phone. So if you do want to contact anybody, you're certainly welcome to do so.
Yeah, I mean, I think I would at least try to get a message to them.
Okay.
Like you said, we don't really know how to deal with these Wendigos without him. So
yeah. So what you can assume is that he is. You're able to get a message to kind of his office, but as part of the Canadian Resistance Army, or at least Department H, he's off doing something right now, and you're not sure what.
Right.
It's not
I didn't expect to get him on the phone live, but I get a message to one of his people or something. Maybe we even have a code for it at this point, like
Wendigo.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Whatever that, I don't know.
No, because it's a persisting, like in that, the start of that issue is it's Sasquatch following up on a Wendigo attack.
Right. So, like this has happened before and it happens again, right? So
yep,
absolutely, I would leave him a message.
Okay.
We got a code W up at Churchill.
Okay.
Need you ASAP.
Yeah. What do you guys
multiple spotted, or multiple would be the, the little extra information. I think that would get him moving as quick as he could.
So, what do you guys wish to do next?
We got to find them now.
Yeah, is there a way? I should be able to track where these Wendigo went, right? They left huge tracks.
Definitely. With that good of a survival, you can follow the trail if you like.
Imagining they ran off to the bay and then circled around, but I'm not sure where they went. Yeah, let's follow them for sure.
We have to.
Okay. So if you two follow along, we can see that maybe that Wolverine pokes his head up again, and we can see it sees you guys beginning to make your way north. And there are one of the upsides is this community to keep up with. Like Sasquatch does technically move at the normal rate, but you could easily use your strength to sort of like lope along kind of Hulk style and try and leap a little further. Logan, if you want to keep up with that, there's probably a snowmobile or two here.
Oh heck yeah! I'm gonna steal a snowmobile. Just take it.
Yeah, and I mean, Walter, if you want to move faster too, you could also go back to Walter form and use that. Your preference, whatever you like. If you want to.
No, I feel too vulnerable. I think at this point, I know what those Wendigos are capable of, and
the best thing about bringing a snowmobile is you can use it as a weapon if we need to.
Yeah.
So we see the two of you carrying on these tracks. They are not making any effort to try and hide their tracks, so they are fairly easy. You do come across another instance of their violence, but curiously, I didn't mention, but in the there is quite obvious scenes of horrific cannibalism in the lodge there.
Oh yeah, of course.
What you do not find, and this other though, there is a polar bear that has been killed that you find away, but it seems to have just been killed. None of it seems to have been eaten.
Mm-hmm.
It's not unusual for Wendigo because it's a cannibal spirit. It feeds on humans. So, if these things came across a polar bear, they might kill it out of spite. They wouldn't eat any of it.
Right.
So, what we would then see is, let me grab our tokens here, and we bring you over to our next location. Oop, too high up. Someone forgot to put something on the map layer. Madison, come on. Jeez. Bush League DM. Here we go. Or Bush League Marshal, I guess. Okay. Let me move Sasquatch out of the way here just for a scooch. For a moment. Here we go. Let me bring you guys over here. This is what you see.
Ooh.
So as you travel for about 3 hours through the wilderness, and what you find is it seems as if not only a base, but some kind of facility has been built on the shores of Hudson Bay. But as you get closer, it seems as if this place is well and thoroughly abandoned. So you could see this, you could picture you're kind of coming over a crest on one of the shores, and you can see not the angle on that right-hand side picture, a lower one, but that's what you see. Long buildings, look like residences. Honestly, it has the look of, Logan, in your mind, of the secret science cities that the Soviets used to build. Facilities specifically built to accommodate research of some kind or whatnot, far away from any kind of other prying eyes. But something that has the amenities of a full proper city. But this one, if there is a ghost town equivalent of a science city, that does seem to be it. Cannot see in here as well, but there is a port. There is a dock down there as well. No ships at it. There is a dock. The tracks lead directly towards the science city.
Well, let's look around, man.
Agreed.
Tell us what you guys are thinking as you are getting down there and looking around. What's the strategy here?
Yeah,
I'm interested in seeing if there's any recent activity near the docks itself. Like, if this has been abandoned for so long, there shouldn't be any like recent scuff marks or anything from the waters. So, wondering if there has been activity at the docks.
Okay,
that's what I'm interested at. Maybe smells that are not too faded, but we know where the Wendigos went, so we can eventually go get them.
Mm-hmm. And Dr. Lankowski?
Well, I mean, I don't think stealth is going to be my thing here. It's,
Big orange monster, yeah.
It's almost, I think his strategy here is almost like if the Wendigos are here, like, maybe I'll draw them out, right? Like, not necessarily like being extra loud and whatever, but just his presence, his orange fur against the snow, his, better they're fighting me than killing more innocents, right? So
okay. So if you go loping and zooming down to the docks in your snowmobile, it's a little on the outskirts of the Science City. You reach there, and if you're looking around, Logan, what you can tell, there's fresh snow, so it doesn't look like anyone has come and gone in the last couple of days at the least. And any sense would have unfortunately faded by this point. But you can give us a notice check at +2. See if there's any recent. Really, you kind of need a raise to get anything. Anything significant here. But look at that. There's that raise. There is the smell of the Wendigo here. And there is nearby, there is a shack that would be like a way of servicing boats and stuff like that. And it's fully stocked. The mechanical lubricant, the oil, gasoline or diesel or whatever they run on. There's tools, there's everything you would need to service a ship if it came in here is here. And recently accessed enough that you can still smell the fumes.
Gotcha. So it's got the appearance of being abandoned, but somebody's been using it.
Most definitely. Maybe not this week or today, but this is a place that has been used. Most definitely.
Okay.
And the level of snow and the level of deterioration here is not such that it would be unsafe to use.
Okay.
So maybe someone hasn't been here it's winter in Hudson's Bay, so getting a ship in here would be, if you're bringing an icebreaker in, then probably you can get here. But the type of ship that was in that photo, it's not necessarily an icebreaker. And it most likely was here at the late summer, fall, at the latest. But yeah, that would track with what's here.
Okay. I'll inform Sasquatch that there has been recent activity here from somebody maintaining ships.
Of course.
So these Wendigos, I wouldn't call them natural to begin with, but they're not natural for being here.
No, clearly.
See if we can find this facility that they're hiding.
Okay. So if you guys make your way into the town proper, the photo I've got, this is actually the same facility, by the by. The one on the left gives you an idea of how dilapidated and abandoned the place is.
Right.
This, I think, gives you an idea of this is something that has sat absent and empty, or abandoned and empty for 30 or 40 years. More than the time. So, and imagine what that much time an abandoned facility in the Arctic Circle would go through as far as deterioration. There'd be weird signs that just went undisturbed, like a coffee can sitting nearby, or signs of someone who left their like a magazine from 30 years ago or 40 years ago sitting there that would go undisturbed because of where the placement was. And then there would be signs where buildings would have deteriorated and collapsed over heavy snowfall years or something like that. And it is in the middle of one of those. Where is it here? Oh, let me bring this up here. Now, I do not have a snow-covered one, but I do have a map that'll give an approximation of this. What you do find at one point in one of the parking lots is a sign. And Sasquatch, you get your big orange hand and kind of push the snow off of it.
Yeah.
Canadian Forces Base Gillam.
It's either is it or was it, but I don't know if it's abandoned or if they lost control of the experiment and the Wendigos have finished off all of the military personnel.
And that is when you guys hear it. First, the sound of your marvelous marshal saying, "You each get a Benny." And secondly, a keening voice, animalistic. Almost like, when people send or shoot videos of their dogs or their cats that sound kind of like they're saying human words, but it's not quite. It's like that, where this animalistic voice comes over. A 3-syllable thing. Wendigo! Carried over the wind. Both of you have heard the call of the Wendigo before. Ooh, it all sounds like there's a dog out there. It is coming from this direction. These buildings here, each of these buildings is one of those taller ones. That's probably, 5 or 6 stories tall. There's snow all around. Yeah. What do you guys do?
Yeah. I mean, I move to the sound, I guess.
Okay.
This is what we're here for.
So you are starting to move a little further over. The scale should work on this as well. Yep, there we go. But then what you see, racing to the edge of the top of one of those buildings, looking down at you.
There he is.
Yay!
Or one of them is.
And let me place the token for you. And there is the Wendigo.
That thing is big.
Yeah. So, guys, let's draw some cards. So, there we go. I'll put these sort of next to where your tokens are. Oh, for those listening at home as well, too, someone did helpfully tell me how to, or at least that you could put the tracking of the cards on the regular initiative tracker. We talked it over, and we just like the tactile and the timing of having the cards drawn. So we do appreciate people letting us know you can do that. If you yourself, when you're using Roll20, want to do that, there's a very easy way to keep track of initiative the way you would in any other RPG. We like having the cards out, so that's why we're doing that.
Yeah.
So thank you. All right, so first off, Sasquatch, a queen, man.
Oh, that's a good pull.
Oh,
Hold on the GM's layer. Let me bring it to the token layer. There you go. Queen, Logan, Queen as well, and the Wendigo. Look at that! That's how we want to start things off. A Joker.
No, it's not.
Well, I mean, he's got to run to us first, so maybe he doesn't get to use his plus bonuses.
Okay, here we go. Yeah, I'll have to run, I guess. How far away are you guys? Okay, so he has 2 bennies himself. I got 3 in the pool, and then I get extras. I got so many bennies, guys. I can't tell you. All right. So then, unless you guys wish to spend a benny to get new cards.
Yeah. Are there 2 jokers in the deck?
There are 2 jokers in the deck, yeah.
It's what 1 in 53 chance of drawing a joker?
No, because right now there are 3 cards out. So there is currently a 1 in 49 chance.
Yeah.
1 in 51 chance.
Yeah.
Yeah, 51. Yeah.
No. I think we'll let him have his first round.
All right. So then the Wendigo howls. Oh! And I'm picturing it's also not like a howl like a wolf. It's probably more like a real throaty scream. Something that doesn't, like, a wolf's howl is melodic and has there's a spooky quality to it, but there's also a really soothing quality to it. There is nothing soothing about the cry of the Wendigo. So Wendigo is then going to, I think, leap on the side of the building and scratch its way all the way down. And then it is going to actually, I can't reach you, but you know what I can do? I can do a test. Howl at the 2 of you and try and intimidate you. So let's do that. And my intimidation is unsurprisingly pretty darn high. So what I'd like for each of you guys to do is give us a spirit check. I don't think either of you have anything that relates to fear checks or anything like that.
No.
Ooh, I got an exploding dice.
So.
Don't explode.
10 is what I rolled as my highest. So go ahead and give us a spirit check, please.
Oh. Sorry.
The Wolverine gave me courage.
Wow. So that is not a crit fail, though, so you could Benny that if you like.
Yeah, let's do it. I don't want to be that failed.
Yeah, like if you failed, you become either vulnerable or... so here's what the difference is. Logan, you got nothing. Like, not affected by this whatsoever. Dr. Lanka, or Sasquatch now. Sasquatch, you got 5 is a... He still got a success on you, but not a raise, which means you are distracted. You're going to be -2, to your actions, but you're not shaken. If he got a raise on you, that first result would have been shaken. So you would have had to save against resist shaking. Okay, and then it's reverse alphabetical order. That's it for him. Oh, you know what? I'm sorry. I got a joker. I got +2 to my roll. It's a 12. So I still didn't, unfortunately, I still didn't get a raise against you. Because I would need to beat you by 8. No, I wouldn't. I would need to beat you. I would need to roll a 9 or higher. Fuck, you are shaken, Sasquatch, because of the Joker.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, sorry. So you, and you know what? I will say for those listening at home too, there is a custom set of free, what do you call it? Markers, token markers you can get that have all the different conditions for Savage Worlds on it. I haven't done that yet because I just didn't have time. But yeah. So Sasquatch, why don't you tell us why has this shaken you? And like terrified you so deeply?
I think that this Wendigo is much larger than the last one that he's seen, like to a significant level, and he knows how difficult of a fight it was, last time.
Yeah.
And also, it's just the idea that there could be 2 more of these things. So it's just a huge level of all of that sort of piling up, right?
Yeah. So then it is. So first up would be Sasquatch. Would you like to? You can roll to unshake, or you can spend a Benny and automatically unshake.
Oh, I see. Yeah, right. Because if you don't do that, then you don't act if you fail the unshake roll.
You fail the unshake, but you could also then spend a Benny afterwards to automatically unshake.
Oh, okay, you can.
Yep.
It's not that you missed the opportunity. Okay.
No. You can spend.
Right, well,
you can actually do it on other people's turn. You can spend a Benny to unshake on other people's turn. 13 from your wild dice. So yeah, in spite of the brief period of second guessing, your focus is back on Sasquatch. What are you doing?
So I think he's gonna actually, do something we talked about before we went live. He is going to look for a large object, be it a vehicle, an abandoned vehicle, or a garbage dumpster.
I think in one of those things there is a snow-covered, it's not a Jeep, but it's the Canadian Forces equivalent of it.
Yeah, so I think he moves over to, let's say it's this space here roughly.
Yeah.
And you see him sort of like, smash it with his hands a little bit on the front hood to kind of thin it out, and then he grabs hold of it and he picks it up so that he's got it ready as a weapon.
Now, one of the things I fucked up when we played last week is that you can ready 2 things as a free action Savage Worlds.
Oh.
So you can pick this up. If you want to throw this turn, you can definitely do that.
Well, no, he wants to keep it. He's holding it like he's ready. If
okay, to use it as a weapon against this thing. Yep.
Yeah, he sees how big he is, and so he's like, my fists aren't going to cut it. I need,
every bit of stuff you can use. Got it.
Yeah.
Okay, so you got this thing up as a weapon. All right, then it is Logan's turn. What are you doing?
Gotcha. Is each square count for 1 pace?
Yeah, basically, like what your pace is 2 yards. Okay. So yeah, just count them as squares. Your pace is equal to squares. You could move 6 squares.
Okay, so I can go 12 yards.
Or you could run and add a D6. It just gives -2 to your actions that round.
Gotcha. Yeah, no, he's gonna move up here, and we're gonna go for the defense to get myself +4 to my parry for the round.
Okay.
And he gets his claws out and just puts them around and just.
Okay, so your parry. If you want to add a situational modifier, your as long as your claws are out, your parry is +1.
Okay.
Because of your trademark weapon. All right. Gotcha. Then that is the end of round 1. We need to shuffle our deck here. And then I'll get my round tracker. We're on to round 2. All right.
It's massive right now.
Sasquatch.
So every time you pull a Joker, you shuffle the deck, though, right?
Yes. Yeah. That's why I shuffled it. Is because soon, but you keep drawing. You don't shuffle immediately, so you could potentially get 2 Jokers in one round. And then an ace. Oh my gosh. This guy's acting quick. Anyone spending... those are all almost as good as you could get. No one's spending bennies for new cards?
I got my parry up. I'm good.
All right. Then it is the Wendigo's turn. I think, Logan, you are closest, so it is going to try and get to you. How far away are you? Within 6? Nope. So I would have to run. Oh, no, hold on. I think his pace might be... Yeah, his pace is 8. So he... Now, here's the thing. You've got first strike. When he moves into range, you can make 1 attack. You can't use your frenzy on this, but go ahead and just give us a single skill die claw attack if you like.
Single skill die claw attack.
Oh, wait, hold on. You were defending, right?
Yeah, I was. So no other action. Sorry.
Okay, so unfortunately, you can't do that. So... Let me take a look at the defend action. Because I wonder if there's a risk-reward thing, like you lose your parry bonus if you choose to attack, but you still could attack?
+4 parry takes entire turn and character may not run. So
bonus lasts until the beginning of your next turn. Yeah, so I think that's what I'd roll, is that basically you can use your first strike to try and get a tag this thing if you like, or you can maintain the +4 to your parry.
I'm going to maintain my +4.
Okay, so your parry's a 13 right now.
Yep.
All right, so this thing runs in on you. It has... Let's see here. Oh man, it's lucky that you guys were not in melee with this. There's an ability that I think Sasquatch has called Mighty Blow. It's a thing that grants +4 to damage when you get a when you draw a Joker, and Wendigo has that as well.
Oh.
So it rarely comes up, but yeah. All right. So he races over and he's gonna use his claws. All right, so he's fighting his. Ooh, that's high.
And that's why I defended.
Yeah, no kidding. So 13. So this brings the claws down. Oh, fuck. 12 exploding. 21, 23.
Jesus.
So I got hit and a raise on you. Damage. I'll roll in chat, and then you consume. We're using the same wound cap, so you can't take more than 4 wounds. And I know that's a huge load off. Oh, thank God. Only 4. Okay. And then it is... I'm using a Starfinder dice, too. So I get to see the symbol of Starfinder Society every time it blows up. Okay, so let's see here. That is 1d12! Exclamation mark. Plus. Eesh. Here, plus 3d6 exclamation mark. Not great roll. So 17.
Not great.
Oh, that's plus 2. That's actually 19. It should be plus 2. So 19. What's your toughness?
9.
9. Okay, so that is 1, 2. That's only 2 wounds though. So you're shaking 2 wounds. You want to try and soak that?
Yeah, I want to try and soak that.
Okay.
Because that's ridiculous.
So go ahead and give us a soak roll. That is a... Ooh, that's so close to 2. So you would soak one of them. You'd have 1 wound, and you'd be shaken. You want to spend a penny and re-roll the soak?
No.
Okay. So, yeah, this thing comes in, and you can see its claws sink into Logan, tearing into that jacket he's wearing. And it brings them back and kind of like snaps at the droplets of blood in the air. Then it is Logan's turn. You want to spend a penny to unshake, or you want to roll to unshake?
I will roll to unshake.
Okay, so roll to unshake first, then we'll make your healing roll.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so you can act. So go ahead and give us... If you click on it, just like your other one, and you heal that wound.
Yep.
Okay.
Back in action is like you... Wendigo, you done up.
Okay, what are you doing?
I'm going to go 2 attacks on him. One's a frenzy and one's a normal attack. Just
Okay, so
dig into him.
go ahead. Let's see here. His parry.
Triple 7s? I mean, come on. That's
Come
cool,
on.
but
So that's a miss.
I'm bending that.
Bending that, go ahead.
Come on, triple 7s. Oh, God.
There you go. That's 2 hits. So go ahead and roll damage. Twice.
1 and...
So that was a hit, not a raise. So that one... Okay, let me see
Signal
here.
damage twice, right?
But it's AP 8. Hold on. Let's... No. So the first one, honestly, neither of those, you're tearing into it. It's not having... seeming to have a lot of effect on it.
Do the claws bypass armor piercing?
Well, AP, all that AP does is it ignores armor. And remember that if it's toughness... So if something that's got armor, it's obviously got that. This is going to be super effective against them. But when they're just really tough,
Gotcha.
that doesn't AP doesn't do anything extra. So, but those only 2. You got 1 more attack.
And this one is with 1 die.
With 1 die, yeah. That's a
8.
No, it's a miss. You want to Benny that?
Nope, I'm gonna need them for next turn.
Okay. Oh man, yeah. I was just checking to make sure all the modifiers are in. All right, so you're swinging away at this thing, and because of its weird physiology, right? It's just you're not able to get an angle in. It's all claws and hands, and it's much bigger than you. So 2 of the things you claw along this thing's hide, but it doesn't seem to hurt it. Sasquatch, what are you doing?
Well, he moves. I can move and attack, right?
Absolutely, yep.
Yeah, okay. So he moves over and he's going to swing this car at this Wendigo.
Go ahead.
Group up a bonus.
Yep, you get a gang up bonus, so it's a +1.
So I put 1 in the mod?
1 in your modifier, yep. Okay, the thing is, but, because it's an area effect, he basically has to make a agility check to try and get out of the way of it. At -2, unless he's got... extraction. No, extraction gets him out of melee. Okay, so...
Could we roll that?
Yeah, you could Benny that if you like. I mean, honestly, it's going to be the same thing. Basically, if you get a raise on your attack, what I'd say is just that he would get a further penalty to his agility.
Oh, I see. Okay. Yeah.
Do you want to do that, or?
No, I'll just leave it there.
Okay. So let me make agility check for him. I failed. Actually, that's a 4. I'll spend a I got a shit ton of bennies. I want a Benny to try and get out of the way of this. No, I do not. So you go ahead and roll damage.
All right, here we go.
Oh! Wham! All right, so that is 17 against 41. So that will be 4 wounds. So I'm going to spend a Benny and shake, though. Or try and soak those.
Yeah.
I was just distracting him. You're the big hitter.
There's also a thing with certain adversaries. I can't remember what the ability is called, but they can never, after soaking, they can never take more than 1 wound per round.
Ooh.
It's a cool, so like for dragons or, boss fights or stuff like that, it's a way of modulating the fight so, you can get those big hits off and make those soak rolls harder, but not have the fight over in one.
Yeah, exactly. Like the first hit just happens to be a crazy roll because of exploding dice.
Exactly. And I did have an exploding dice. I rolled a 13, which means I got 3 wounds. I still suffer 1 wound from it. So why don't you tell us what does it look like as he is smashed?
I think he's got that big toothy jaw, and I think I just wipe him right across the face with this Jeep-like vehicle.
Would you give us a 1D? Give us a 1D8 roll.
Yeah.
Okay. Still intact. What I'm going to do is I'm going to scale it down. 1d8 for the first one. Next attack's going to be 1d6. Next attack's going to be 1d4. And you keep rolling until you fail. Once you fail the roll on a 4 or higher, the thing is smashed.
Cool.
Okay. So that is the end of round 1, guys. We're on to round 2. Or 3. This is round 3. 3. Sasquatch, a 9. Logan, a 4. You don't have quick, do you?
Nope.
Okay. Wendigo, an 8. Ooh. Anyone want to spend bennies?
Nope.
Let me see if I can incentivize it. I'm spending one of Wendigo's things. I'm unshaking automatically. That change anyone's idea or opinion?
I'll spend a Benny.
Yeah. Jack, look at that.
Nice.
Ooh, do I want to spend? Could get that Joker. Let's keep things interesting. I'm going to draw 1 more card. So at 8 is what I'm acting on. All right. Unless anyone else is spending anything, then Logan, you're up first. What are you doing?
Gotcha. Can I cold shot and 2 attack at the same time?
You can, yeah.
Okay, because Logan, he's no longer the berserker of the past. While this thing's getting crushed down with the car, he's going to leap and try to drive both of its claws into its head. Just like, no more flesh, just cold shot to the head.
Yeah, so I think cold shot, that's what, -4 to hit the head, isn't it?
Yep, and +4 to damage if I get it.
Nice. Okay, so go ahead. And you get the gang up bonus of +1.
Yep, and
so it'd be a net of -3.
3, okay. Come on, 2 dice.
Come on. No!
Benny that.
Yeah, Benny that. Go ahead. That's your last Benny. Ooh.
Well, maybe if we delay long enough. A 5?
No, unfortunately. But you got 1 more attack though. So go ahead at -3.
Get this thing in the head. Stab it.
No, still not good enough. All right, but this is, you can picture like Logan is leaping on this thing's back and trying to get at a vulnerable spot. It's knocking him off, and then you're leaping back up again. So
and the head's going to the side. Claws are digging into concrete around it, just scoring it up.
Yes, sparks flying up through the snow. This is, and it's a reflection of how tough an opponent this thing is, not because you're you're lacking in skill. Sasquatch, you're up next. What are you doing?
Yeah, wow, swing the car again.
Okay. Go ahead and make your attack roll.
1 for the gang up. Oh,
nice for
yeah.
the raise. So it'll be a minus. It'll be -4. I need an 8 in order to avoid this. Let's see here.
This thing dodging around from the claws.
Do I want to spend? No, I'm gonna save my Benny for a soak. Go ahead and roll damage.
Okay, here we go.
33. So
nice.
against his toughness, 33 is 1, 2, 3. It's 4 wounds. So he's soaking 4 wounds once again. And oh, but you got a raise on that roll. So actually, I'll make it 38. So it doesn't really make a difference. You can't soak more than 4. Gonna spend my point to soak this. Let's see how we do. Got -1 to this because of the wound. That's only 1. So this is another big hit. This is the type of boss creature thing. So you hammer, and I can tell you what ability, for those who may be curious, is
I think you're
called.
pissing this thing off more than I am.
It's called Unstoppable. The villain takes a maximum of 1 wound after soaking from any damage, unless the attacker's action card is a joker. So give us a D6 roll now, Sasquatch.
Yeah, here we go.
6.
Oh, it just needs to be not a 1, right?
Still intact. No, it just needs to be a 4. A 4 higher. It needs to be a
a 4
success on
higher,
it. Yeah. So what does it look like as you hammer it the second time?
I think he's sort of getting a good feel for, where to hurt this thing.
Yeah.
And so I think actually this time he's swinging at this thing in the shoulder. He's kind of trying to like slow his blows,
Nice.
his
And you
claws
hear a
down.
popping as it dislocates. All right. Then it is and it will be shaken as well. Shouldn't have spent that Benny early. Bush League mistake there, Wendigo. All right, so he needs to unshake. He does have combat reflexes, so he gets +2 to this, and that'll be D10. I've been rolling a D, like a tens digit percentile dice, and it's been driving me nuts. Okay, here we go. Yeah. So this will be at -2. He unshakes. I gotta unshake with a raise. Howls out, "Rah!" And he is going to wild strike against you, Sasquatch, because you're the one who keeps hurting him.
Yeah.
So what is your parry?
Harry. Let's see. I don't know this character's.
I think it's a 7, actually. I think I know that.
Yeah, it is a 7.
Yeah, okay. So only because I was entering
Oh,
it,
my
yes.
toughness is really good though.
Yeah, your toughness is a 21, and heavy. You need. Fortunately, this thing's big and tough, so it's got heavy weapons for its attack, or it counts as it. Ooh, I got a 10, so it's a hit. No, I got a 12, so it's a hit and a raise on you. So damage is going to be, here we go, +2. I got a raise on it, which means I get an extra D6 in this match up here. Is that everything? Oh, but he also did a wild strike, so it's +4. Here we go. 38 against you. So
Wow.
that is, let me see here, 38. But you got
That's
a 22
a 17.
toughness, right?
21.
21?
Yeah.
Okay, so that is 38. 1, 2, 3, 4. So you're going to be saving, or if you're going to soak this, it's against 4 wounds. But because of your Iron Jaw edge, you're going to get +2 to your soak.
Okay.
So you're going to make a vigor check at +2.
Okay.
If you want to spend a Benny to do this. So this is what you have to spend a Benny to do it.
Yeah, I will.
Okay.
Okay, so vigor and put 2 in the box.
2 is the modifier. Yeah. Oh, okay. So that is this. Oh, it's nearly 2 raises. So
You
each.
got a conviction. You can spend a conviction. to
Yes,
soak.
you could.
Oh,
Yeah.
So what's that? That's a D6 exclamation mark?
That's right. Yeah.
All right, come on, big roll money.
There you go. 21. So 21
good loss.
is 1, 2, 3, 4. So this thing hammers you across the face. But you take the hit like a champ and take no damage from it whatsoever on account of your hit.
Nice.
You are just ready to take this thing down. Well done. That is the end of round 3. We're on to round 4. And it is, let's see here, Sasquatch, you got a 9. Logan, you've got a king. And the Wendigo, a queen.
You Wendigo.
Everyone gets a Benny. And
It
then
keeps you while you're vulnerable.
now, Sasquatch, do you want to, you're the only one behind the Wendigo. Do you want to spend a Benny get a new card? I think you should have 3 because you did just get a Benny as well.
Oh, yeah. I will spend it, though, for a new card right away.
Okay, you got it.
I want that Joker. It's time.
10 off.
Oh.
You could spend another if you want.
No, that's good. I need them for soaking.
I have at times chased it, and I've flown through all my Marshall Bennies trying to get a better card. So
I know.
All right, but Logan, once again, you're on top of things here. What are you doing?
While it's vulnerable, I'm going to Wild Strike and Frenzy on it to cut and do it with 2 weapons.
Are you doing any called strike at this time, or are you just?
No, I think I just need to dig into it while it's vulnerable.
Okay.
So I do get extra damage for Wild Strike. But...
Yes, you do, +2. So then it will be a net of +3 to hit.
And 2 skill dice to start with.
Yep. There you go. That's 2 hits. Swat, swat.
Okay.
Go ahead.
Roll damage.
Okay.
2.
Nice.
And damage 2.
Okay, so the second one, unfortunately, is not tough. These things are tough mamma jammas. But that 26, though, is going to be 1, 2. So shaken and 2 wounds. Do I have to. I got to spend a Benny. Try and soak this thing. So, go. Let's see if I can do it. I only got 1, so it's 1 wound again, and it's shaken. This thing howls as you sink your claws into it. You finally get him to the side, like right in the side, and pull along. Go ahead and your last attack at +2.
Yeah, I see him. I see him. Got him like right in the shoulder. He's digging down, and he's coming. He's going to try and hamstring it with his other claw.
Okay, go ahead. That is a hit. Go ahead and roll. That is a hit with a raise. Go ahead and roll damage. Nice. Is that including the +2 from Wild Strike?
It is not. I forgot on that roll.
Okay, so that's going to be 17, 18, 19, 20, which is enough to shake it. But because of this thing, a second shaken result, it's got the same ability that you have, Hardy. Second shaken result doesn't result in a wound. So you get this thing again, but this thing is bleeding from 3 or 4 different locations. Its arm is hanging off at a weird angle. Then it is this thing's turn. I'm going to spend a Benny, call on the cry of the Wendigo, and I'm going to use its toughened ability. I'm basically power stunting its toughness to try and regenerate. So I do have to make a roll for this. So let's see here.
I remember doing that with Logan in the other session.
I have to
Speed it
spend
up real quick.
With Blade in the other session. You use it with.
Oh yeah,
Logan.
there's Blade. That's right. Yeah.
I got 2 successes, so this thing's wounds. I'm down to 1. Well, I need to unshake as well. Hold on. I'm cheating. Madison, quit cheating. I did unshake, so you can see its entire round is spent with things popping back together. Its arm goes back up. Sasquatch, what are you doing?
I am.
Oh, one last thing I'll say for free. You guys can both hear when this thing cries out and is just trying to put itself back together. You can hear 2 calls in response. Wendigo! It sounds a lot more badass than that, but my voice is about to crack.
I can move inside the range, right? Of its.
Yeah, as long as you don't move
away,
it doesn't get a free strike against you.
So, because I mean, it's spending its time regenerating, so I'm like, move to its back, and I'm gonna smack it in the back with
Go
this
ahead.
car.
So same thing. You get a gang up bonus, and go right ahead.
Yeah, there's no mechanical difference.
No
It's
mechanical
just-
difference now, but all right. So that's just a regular hit. So no range. Let's make its agility check. Here we go, and I did succeed. So it you swing at this thing, and it manages to deke out of the way this time. Hits the ground, but it has avoided getting hit. That's one of the upsides to the thing. You automatically hit. It needs to make an evasion check in order to get out of the way. But the downside is if it succeeds, it avoids damage altogether. That's the end of round 4. Run around 5, guys, and you can hear those cries of the Wendigo. They're getting closer. Sasquatch. Ooh. Joker! So, Logan, you have +2 to hit, +2 to damage, and both of you guys get a Benny. And a 7 for the Wendigo.
Both get a Benny.
All right.
Yeah, it's the teams versus DM gets Benny versus us. So.
Yeah, like the thing is with when
Nice.
I draw Joker, I get every martial wild card and the pool for my NPCs all get to Jokers. On your turn, only you get the bonus and you get to act whenever you want, but all your entire team gets bennies. I don't get them, unfortunately, because the game is bullshit. All right, so then, Sasquatch, you want to spend a Benny to get a new card? Or you?
No, I'm gonna keep them for soaking because if there's more of them coming, then this could get really hairy.
You got it. All right, Logan, you're up first. +2 to hit, +2 to damage. What are you doing?
Same thing as last time. I'm gonna go wild strike and try to dig claws in, so I should have
Nice.
a +5 this time.
+5 to hit, +4 to damage. Yeah.
Nice. Okay, so
Okay.
5 to hit, 2 dice.
Here we go. That is 1 hit, 1 raise.
Okay.
Okay, so go ahead and roll damage to the first one.
So I had 4 in.
Okay. Oh, big hit. That is another wound. I cannot soak because I'm out of bennies. Oh, wrong thing, Madison. There we go. Okay.
Second damage, so 16.
And that's with a raise. That's 17. That is a second shaken result. So that's unfortunate. Not. You could spend a Benny and re-roll that if you like. That's the one with the raise. So.
Yeah, I'll spend a Benny.
Okay.
I want this thing down. The damage.
+4. There you go. 36.
Nice.
Found his brainstem.
Well, unfortunately, again, because of this thing is durable, like it only takes 1 more wound from this, but you got that last attack.
I got 1 more attack.
+5 to hit.
5.
Hit with a raise. Go ahead and roll damage.
The typical Logan scream. Ah!
Okay. Oh, that's only 18.
I have 1 more Benny.
Yeah, go ahead.
Taking you down.
Come on.
It's still a little bit more, right?
That is 4 more, which is precisely what you need to trigger a wound. What does it look like as the Wendigo goes down?
So he started climbing on it with his claws, ripping into it. And he's like, found the brainstem, sticks it in, and spins his claws. Regenerate that.
Whoa. Hits the ground, and it is down. Then you can hear on their next turn, you hear the cry once again of the Wendigo. Sasquatch, what are you doing? Oh, and you each get conviction from dropping that.
Nice.
That was a tough boss.
Hopefully these ones are smaller.
Is there like a scan or like something like that you can do to like scan for enemies? Or
I mean, you would definitely. It's sort of passive in this one, like unless you're specifically looking for something beyond just like if they're sneaking up on you, then that'd be the case. But that does not seem to be the MO of the Wendigo.
No, but I'm just trying to see what direction they're coming from.
Same direction he was coming from, actually.
Okay. Yeah.
Like I didn't set up the dynamic lighting only because I didn't have quite enough time.
I'm gonna.
But you could move over, like a little further down that street there. I will say 2 things about the map. One, this is by the wonderful Gabriel Pickard that we have used a lot of different maps from before. And the other thing I'll say is that the reason I love it is it looks so much like the old phase rip Marvel superhero RPG maps. Has a very similar look to them.
Yeah.
So,
I'm moving over here so I can see down the street, and he's got the car because the car is quite beaten up, and he's got it ready to throw it. You know, he's kind of got it cocked back like a football.
Yeah. Let me. You know what? And just because it'll be, I'll tell you what the range is for this. Is. Where's your super string? Here we go. There we go. Throwing range. This is going to be 2 weight classes lower than what you can do. Range is 10 is short range, 20, and this is squares. 10 is short range, 20 is medium range, 40 is long range.
Oh, wow. Okay. So you can throw it pretty far.
You can double those numbers for the snowmobile. It doesn't do as much damage, but you can double those numbers for the snowmobile.
Wow, yeah, okay.
Yeah. So one of the downsides with it is that your, because of the way I purchased it, it would do 1 dice less, 1 d6 less, because of the way I purchased your power. But what you can see is lumbering down the street, not lumbering, but like running as in kind of a simian gait, almost looking like they're going to fall over, but not quite. I'll put them just on the edge of the map here. They're probably 1 round away from getting back to you, or getting to this actual map, but you can see them. 2 Wendigos.
Oh, the same size.
Wendigo! Do you wish to do anything?
Looking for the snowmobile real quick. Can we get away?
Sasquatch. So they would be, if they're 1 like map away, they would be basically be -4 to hit if you want to try and tag one of them with a with this Jeep.
Give you time to grab another one before they get here.
Yeah, I will. I'll throw it.
Okay, I love it. Let me quickly. You know what? Here, I'll enter because it will only take 2.
I can click on my.
Well, I can actually add it in here for you.
You can add it? Okay,
yeah,
sure.
So you've got another one. It takes 2 seconds to do this, especially since we know what the damage would be. So we'd use athletics to attack. It's your strength plus 3d6. 3d6. And there's no other modifiers. So there we go. And boom. That's how easy it is.
Okay. So I need to roll an 8 or higher.
An 8 or higher to hit this thing, yeah.
All right, here we go.
Oh,
so
is that close? You want to spend a penny?
No, I don't think I have a great chance. So,
well, hold on. You know what? Let's just back up because I'm forgetting something. It hits a medium burst template, and all you need to hit a square is a 4.
Oh, right.
But that is off by 1 because of the range penalty. That would land a little further away. Do you want to spend a penny and try and replace that, or?
No, I'm good.
Okay. So you like they're going to need to run in here as well. So
you think I should do it? I don't know.
Got a conviction. You could use a conviction to boost it up by 1. Might even.
Oh yeah.
Get a raise on it.
Yeah.
Oh, I mean that would be more. That would make more sense.
Okay.
Because I only need the 1.
Yeah. And it could explode and might get.
A 5 or more would be a raise, right?
Okay.
Oh,
there you go.
Short.
So 1 off. But that is a hit, though, so it does need to make a agility check. I'm just reshuffling the deck before I forget as well. Make an agility check, trying to avoid it. I need a 6 or higher. Nope. Go ahead and roll damage with your thrown car. 23. That is a hit and a wound. And I don't have any. Oh, they would each have. They actually have bennies. But I'm not going to waste it on soaking that thing. So it smashes across it, and it suffers 1 wound.
It might have to roll to shake next turn and fail and have to spend a penny anyway.
That's true. That's true. Yeah, it could very well be. Let's see here. Let's see. There's that, and it's got 1 wound. Okay, so
nice
then.
Shot.
End of the round. We're at top of next round. Let's draw some cards here. I have done the shuffling. Sasquatch. A 10, and Logan, a 3, And they, 10 of diamonds, which will go before clubs. Anyone spending bennies for cards?
Got no bennies.
Oh, you got no bennies? I know. Last 15 minutes of the session, both of you get a benny.
Cool.
Yeah.
I'm saving it to soak.
Okay, sounds good. Sasquatch, you doing anything, or are they letting them move?
I'm gonna let them come.
You got it.
All
right, so they are going to run. They have a run dice of, let's see here. Go.
If they can't make it to us, you could do like 2 actions, run, grab a car, and throw another one at them.
1, 2. So that's where he is on the map right now is where he is. Whoa, and the other one is actually 1, 2, 3. There we go. Right there. It's a little faster than the... Oh, I needed to... Hold on. Yeah, he unshook. Okay. So they are racing towards you guys. Sasquatch, you're up next. What are you doing?
Yeah, I'm gonna look for another vehicle or something. The lamppost, some kind of.
There's probably another vehicle within like 6 squares of you. Probably like further back. Maybe you have to move back.
Yeah,
6.
maybe back here. So you'll just move back here now and grab a.
Yep.
Can he do 2 actions, like take a -2 and then throw it at the next one?
Yeah, but I want to keep it
readying
around
an action actually costs nothing in Savage Worlds. I fucked that up last time. So he could get this thing up and then attack with it again if he wants.
No, I want to hold on to this one to beat them down with it.
Okay.
Because it is an area of effect, so if they're close together, I can...
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah.
And then Logan, what are you doing?
I've seen how fast they are. I don't think they can get to me in 1 round. What can I don't have any ranged weapons.
I have a suggestion for you.
What?
You could climb up on top of climb the lamppost or some, so that you could drop down on them when they do get here.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
You know what one of my favorite things from the Claremont Burn era was? The fastball special.
I mean, I can throw you at them.
I don't like my chances with 2 of them.
That 20, 40, 80 thing, if you hit with it, what I would say is you would stack the damage from your strength and your claws.
I have a better idea. I'm going to run over the Sasquatch and climb onto the car and hold on to it. So when he throws it...
I'm not throwing this one, though. I'm hitting them with it.
Well, when you bring it down on him, I'm going to come down on him right afterwards.
Oh, I see what you're saying.
So he goes to slam down, I jump, and then I come down to strike him.
Okay, I'm not going to give you the same bonus as that because I think there's an equal likelihood of you hurting yourself with that as there is.
I just think it's cool.
Oh, definitely, yeah. Now, here's the thing. If you guys did have the... remember, we're playing with the optional rule where you can spend a point to gain a combat edge for a round, and one of the combat edges that we haven't seen in play yet is Dynamic Duo. And what that allows you to do is do an assist on damage. Now, you guys are doesn't seem to be having a great deal of difficulty damaging these things, but it would the same way you roll support, where if you roll a success, it's +1 to the roll, raise +2 to the roll. In this one, you make your attack against a DC of 4. If you succeed, it gives +2 damage. On a raise, it gives +4 damage. Now, you have to spend a penny to get that and whatnot, so that may not be an optimal choice, but it is an option. Okay, then, end of round, run around 6, guys. See if these Wendigo can get in. Sasquatch. 5. Logan. Jack, not bad. And an ace for them. Anyone spending bennies? No? Okay. So they're going to go, let's see here. That's 16. Wow. 1, 2, 3, 4, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. Whoosh. And 3 behind, so he'll be right there. Yeah! Then it is Logan's turn. What are you doing, Logan?
Still too far for me to get to. Actually, I can pace of 6 and running as a D6.
Yep.
I don't think I can make it there.
You try and run? It's only 9 squares. You see a 3.
Yeah. The other one. screw it. Yeah, no, we're running. He's
Go
gonna
ahead and click on
claws
your
out.
run. See how far you go. Yes.
Come get some. Cool. So I'm gonna do like a little beeline thing and like right here.
Yep.
To get to the bottom corner, so it gives me a little bit of cover from the one coming.
Yep.
And then I'm going to just like frenzy attack just his legs.
You got it. Okay, so you have -2 because you ran.
Mm-hmm.
But otherwise, you're good to go. So -2 to hit.
Could I do a wild strike frenzy with a run?
Yep.
Okay, we'll net out the.
So net anything, yeah, and you will be vulnerable though.
That's fine.
Can.
I regenerate.
Nice. All right, so that's 2 hits with raises. Go ahead and roll damage to the first one. It's 20, so that's you've shaken it, but not.
Oh, come on.
Oh, you want to Benny that second one?
No, I need that.
Okay. So then your second attack, your offhand.
Okay.
You still have 1 skill dice.
Re-attack with the 2 and the 1 dice.
Yeah. Okay, so that's a hit with a raise again. Go ahead and roll damage. Hold on. No, you shouldn't have had a +2 on that. It was a net 0 because you ran.
Oh, I'm sorry.
That's
so
okay.
it's a 13.
13 is still a hit with a raise.
Okay.
And so that's a 21. That is just enough to get a wound, but I'm going to try and soak that wound. I don't want to be hurt. Let's see.
Spinning bendies is always good.
I got a success, so I have soaked a wound. So it is no longer shaken. All right. So you do get some. Oh no, hold on. It's shaken. I just ignore the. No, I get to remove the shaken condition. Yeah. Okay. Then
Well,
it is.
I hit him twice.
Yeah,
First
I
shaken, the second one. So spinning a bendy to soak on the second attack removes the first shaken?
Yep. On a success, if you get the thing. So, Sasquatch, what are you doing?
So I guess I could run as well since Logan ran.
Yep. You also throw at short range.
I know, but I want to have this thing in my hands if possible. Where do you run?
Run is on the top right, I believe.
Yeah, right above pace. It's just a word you click on.
Oh, there, running.
Yeah.
I see it, yeah.
7 inches, so 7 squares.
So
Hurl it like a frisbee.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. No, he'll just move to here where he can
Okay,
move
so
to.
run there. Do you want to do anything else?
No, he's holding on to his little automobile here.
All right, so here we go. We'll speed up King for you. 3. Oh, gosh. And then the Wendigo, an 8. I'm not spending bennies. Anyone spending bennies? No? Then Sasquatch, you're up first. What are you doing?
Well, now I'm going to move in and crush this bugger.
Okay. You get a gang up bonus of +1.
Yeah.
Go ahead and make your roll. I'm going to make his agility check. Try and get out of the way. Oh, he does get out of the way. Oh, even with the raise, I need an 8. So that one gets out of the way, hits the ground, gives us a D8 roll. Then it is the Wendigo's turn.
Still intact.
Yep, still intact. Then
good.
it is, let's see here. So the first one will try and get you, Logan. You got a parry of 9 right now, right?
Yes, correct.
That is a hit, not a raise. So let's see here. I think not a raise, and I did not wild strike on it. So get rid of that. Oh, I think that's only shaken, isn't it?
Toughness of 9, so yeah, not a raise.
Yeah, nice. So you are shaken. Remember, you can spend a Benny at any point to get rid of your shaken if you want to try and preempt it before something else hits you. But this other one is going to have to run. So. Come on, Madison. Ah, there we go. 12. All right, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. There we go. So this thing runs up a side and it's going to try and get you, Sasquatch. You got your parry is a 7. I got a hit, not a raise. So it's the same thing. Let's see, I think that is a shaken result. No, it's a shaken with 1 wound. You could shake that if you, or try and soak that if you like.
Yeah, let's try.
Okay, spend a Benny and give us a vigor check at +2.
Vigor with the 2.
It's enough to soak it. Yep.
Nice.
So this thing hits you once again, and you take that hit like the giant gamma monster you are. Logan.
Attempting to unshake.
Unshake, okay. Yes. Go ahead. What are you doing?
He knows one way of taking these things down, so he's gonna wild strike and frenzy and just dig his claws into that gang up bonus.
Go right ahead.
So +3 to attack, 2 dice.
Nice. Hit with a raise. Go ahead and roll damage. Hit with a raise and a hit. So that's a 25. It's 1, 2. That's 2 wounds on it. So that one, I'm not going to soak that. He's got 1 on him so far, and he's shaken. Go ahead and roll second damage. No raise on this one. 20 is enough. That's it's 1 off.
I'm going to throw a point in conviction in there just to dig it in.
I don't know if you can add conviction to damage.
Oh, not damage? Okay.
Yeah, I think it's only... Let me double check. I don't
Okay.
I don't right at the end of the session, but it's worth looking up because we'll remember it for next time. Somehow I feel this isn't the last time we'll play Savage World Supers. Here we go. Setting. Or damage roll. Trait or damage roll. Yeah, cool. You can add that. Go ahead.
Dig it into his
one will get it,
heart.
but you might get a raise out of it. There you go. So 2 wounds again. I'm not going to bother. So and then you get your final offhand attack.
Okay, come on. 1 dice. Come on, explode.
There you go. Hit with a raise. Go ahead and roll damage.
Damage. Into your 21.
21 is enough to add another wound. All right. So what does it look like as you're tearing into this thing?
This time he climbs up the front as the thing dodges out of the car strike, and he just front of the throat rips in and twists.
Yeah. So this thing's being torn to bits. That's the end of the round. We'll do very quickly 1 round here. Come on. Joker for Sasquatch.
Yes.
+2 to hit, +2 to damage. And each of you gets a Benny and a Queen for the Wendigo. I'm assuming... Oh, Logan, do you want to spend a Benny to get a new card?
Yeah, why not? Let's do it.
Okay. We go. An 8. Not quite good enough, but... Sasquatch, I'm assuming you want to go first?
Sure.
+2 to hit, +2 to damage. If you do as Logan did before and Wild Strike, it would give you +2 to hit and +2 to damage. Now, this is where the net +4... so it probably isn't better than the chance of exploding dice.
He could do 2 attacks, and then
yeah, multi-attack. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Take no penalty to it, and you could attack twice with that Jeep.
So if he wild strikes, multi-attacks, he get a net +2 to attack.
Yep.
And +2 to damage.
Because of the Joker.
Because of the Joker, yeah.
Yes.
Okay, so I click on use card as a weapon, put 2 in the attack.
Yep, put 2 as the bonus. He's got a raise, so let's see if he can get it. I need an 8 to get out of the way. Does not dodge. Go ahead and roll damage at +2.
+4 because the Joker adds 2 to damage, right?
Oh, +4. Yes, yep.
Yeah.
Okay, so roll damage with a 4 bonus.
Oh!
Erased.
Is that against the injured, the one that Logan cut up, or are you against the other one?
Well, doesn't it hit 2 to 3 targets?
Oh, yeah, it hits both. No, you're absolutely right. So
he just smashes them with
that one takes 2. Give us a D8. D8 rolls. First time with this one.
Oh, no, it's the second hit.
All right, but you got to roll D8 first. He was destroyed when that first hit.
He did roll.
Oh,
yeah. Okay, so your thing's there, and then your second attack. Go ahead.
All right, here we go.
Same thing. +2 to hit.
Come on, Joker money.
Do you have Benny?
Yeah.
Yeah, you might want to Benny that because I've dodged on a regular
Just for the raise.
attack. You just need an 8 on one of those dice.
Nuts.
Deeks out of the way. He leaps on you. Sasquatch, let's see if he can get a hit. I got a hit, not a raise. 21 is enough to shake you. Yeah. So it's the fury that this thing is hitting you with. Then Logan, what are you doing?
Same thing. Run forward, wild strike. Frenzy, just like he smells the blood in the air and he's feeling like he did in his youth.
Here we go.
So +3.
Might have been a long time since you've been in a blood fight like this.
Yeah, that's a hit, not a raise on one of them. You want to... Oh, no, but does that include the gang up bonus?
It does for the hit.
Okay, so that's not good enough. You want to spend a betting to re-roll that?
Yeah, I'll re-roll the damage.
Damage? Okay, go ahead.
Yeah. +2 damage. Come on. Wound him.
There you go. So that was a hit with raise on the first one. So that's 26. Go ahead and roll damage for the second one. Oh, no, the second one missed. So now your offhand one. This is it.
Okay.
Come on.
Bonus to hit. Offhand attack. Sink home.
That is a hit with a raise. Go ahead and roll damage.
And 2 to damage. Evisceration.
What's it look like as he goes down?
He just, the guy dodges out of the way. He just leaps up from the ground and just drives both things into his chest and twists and flicks down and just rips it like the rib cage open with his attack.
Okay, whoa, this thing goes down. So, and Sasquatch will assume you recover from being shaken. As a very quick closing, you guys look at one another like, what the hell is going on? And that's when one of the buildings begins rumbling and collapses down.
That's convenient.
And pulling itself out from the wreckage. Oh, I've already made the thing here. A Wendy Hulk.
Yeah.
I'm going home.
And it cries out, Wendigo! The distinctive green cast to its flesh tells you precisely what is going on here. Everyone would get their conviction back, and we'd have to see what happens next issue. So,
And then it's conveniently canceled, so sorry.
yeah,
people.
exactly. All right. So then, for those listening at home, thank you so much for joining us for this one-shot turning to the dark dystopian future of Days of Future Past. But we'll very quickly do an outro here. But guys, so this has now been a couple of months we've been playing different levels of, this is a power level 3, similar power that we played last weekend. How did it feel playing a more experienced Logan and playing a super strong character like Sasquatch?
That's a blast. I've always really liked playing this version of superheroes that
The Savage Worlds version?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I always enjoy Logan, but yeah, I know it's good to have a big smasher on my team. Somebody who could take a hit and deal out damage.
You know, the thing that I was thinking about during the break, like the thing I really, really like about using Savage Worlds for it is the infrastructure in the rules for those, like the parts of the comic that drive the story, right? Like the fights, having a good, fun superhero slugfest stuff. There's a couple of games that do quite a good job of that kind of stuff, and Savage Worlds is no different for that. But having a game mechanics for playing the other stuff, like the reason. Some people will read comics just for the fight scenes, and there's nothing wrong with that. But like the reason, especially for a game or a long-running series like Claremont's X-Men, is because of the persisting story. And I think that the Savage Worlds gives you rules with the networking and with chases and all the other things to be able to give game mechanics to those parts of a superhero story.
It definitely feels like a comic book issues with the way we've been playing these lately.
Yeah, and it really, like, again, no fault against other games, but I feel it's gonna be different for every table. Like, this really fits my expectation of what I want out of a superhero story, more so than any of the other superhero games we've run.
Yeah, I really like this system, and it's really easy to pick up and learn. So
yeah. Awesome. So very quickly, for those listening at home, I'm going to make an abridged outro here just because we're keeping the guys overtime and we have a charity session this afternoon. Here's the highlights. If you look in the description of the video, first off, any questions, comments, or concerns, please feel free to comment on the video, or there's a link in there to the Dungeon Musings Discord server. On the Discord server, you can find information about the charity initiative we have on the channel, which is the Heroes Save Villages campaign. There's a link down below to that. That benefits the SOS Children's Villages International charity, and we have some amazing, not only do all donations that go through that link go directly to help out SOS Children's Villages International, an organization that helps over over 80,000 orphaned and abandoned children in over 130 countries. Really great organization. $10 gives you a chance to vote on our next charity sessions as part of this year-long campaign we're playing. And there's also a chance to win some cool gaming stuff. So you can learn about that on the Dungeon Musing Discord server's Charity Initiatives channel. There's also a link to our friends at Noble Knight Games. The code I've got listed below doesn't work again as of today, but come Monday, I will have a new code. So if you enter the code at checkout, you will save yourself 10% on the purchase. But Noble Knight is my favorite gaming store for picking up, even though it's in a different country. So I have to pay some import tax. Amazing selection of hard to find and out of print RPGs. There's also a link down below to the person who we are fundraising for this afternoon. That is Owen K.C. Stevens, a very prolific creator of Starfinder, Pathfinder, D&D 3rd, 4th, 5th edition. Well, no, he hasn't written for 5th, 3rd and 4th edition, and Fantasy Age. He is currently dealing with a recent cancer diagnosis as well as a bunch of other issues. So we are fundraising for him. If you want to support him in this while he's going through cancer treatment, he's an American, so there's going to be healthcare costs, but also the cost of not being able to work and getting to and from treatments and so forth. You can support him through Ko-fi. His Ko-fi link is down below. His Patreon link is down below. By joining his Patreon or supporting his Patreon, you get access to a ton of great gaming stuff. And you can also support him by purchasing any Rogue Genius Games products through DriveThruRPG. With that said, last thing I'll say is a huge thank you to Jeffrey and John. I love running Savage Supers, and I love this particular setting. These are two of my all-time favorite characters, and you guys played the hell out of them. It was I had so much fun today, so thank you so much for playing, guys.
It's a pleasure as always, yeah.
Awesome. Then, go ahead, John.
When to go in that first round was terrifying. Man.
It really shows how the bennies on the martial side can help fix the tempo of the fight. It can make those fights, and it's by judicious use of the different optional rules. You'd think oh god, max 4 wounds, who the hell's going to roll that? But if I'm rolling d12 plus 2 for my vigor roll, and I get plus 2 from my iron jaw, I'm guaranteed pretty much to be soaking at least 1 wound and potentially more. Yep. So it really I love it, just absolutely love it. It's so much fun. So then, for those listening at home, we'll be back, I'm sure, with more Savage Supers in no time. In 2 weeks' time. Oh, no, in 4 weeks' time, we'll be back in World War II. I don't know what we're doing in 2 weeks' time because both John and Darren will be on vacation, but we'll figure that out in between. Until then, we hope that we gave you a couple of hours to take your mind off of the troubles of our world and think about the troubles. What is the Canadian government up to in this dark dystopian future? Will they really turn to the desperation of gamma-irradiated cannibals to try and deal with the threat of the Sentinels? I guess we'll have to find out if we can, figure that out, if we can find the next issue of this series at some point. But until then, stay safe, stay healthy, make mind marvel, and happy gaming.